have to marry yung efforts ng ating AFP into the contemporary modern challenges that we face. So ito, hindi kaya ng AFP ito lang, but together with all other agencies. Kasi nga, Bureau of Immigration kasama dito, no, di ba? Pati nga po yung mga birth certificates and all, they're all part of this. So hindi siya isang part lang po ang AFP to this, no? So we have to have great alliances also with the different agencies on this. And for this, nakita natin na naging mapanuri na nga tayo ngayon as we keep saying that security is everyone's responsibility, hindi lang din government ito, but bawat mamamayang Pilipino. So hindi namin maisantabi na malaking tulong po yung reports na binibigay ng ating mga kababayan for us to really closely look into this. And kung meron mang report na matanggap ang AFP, aaksyonan namin ito.
If there's a dispute is very
Usap natin yan. Kaya nga, yung mga part ng drones ngayon, nire-report
Okay, anong oras
nila.
na natin ngayon?
So,
23 minutos,
through all of this, yung
pasado po
huling
alas
lumabas,
7, ang time
kasi
check natin
previous
sa gabi
incident
nito.
pa. Dahil nakita nga
Okay,
niya na ito na malaking
7 pa
usapin na
rin.
to. Na yung dati, hindi
Ng
naman nila
Febrero
nire-report because these are
2025,
small incidents lang. Ngayon,
Monday
they
po
also see
ng
a
gabi.
bigger picture to this. So, mas
Ayan
malawak
po,
na rin
mga
yung
suki, mga
understanding ng
kababayan,
bawat Pilipino, no? And yung
Okay,
concern
huwag na
nila
tayo
to be
palikoy-likoy.
part of
Babati
this.
muna
So,
tayo.
gusto talaga din natin
Okay,
yan is to
magandang
ignite the patriotism of the
gabi.
Filipino and the nationalism
Okay,
of
good evening,
every
good evening, good
Filipino
evening.
to be part of this
Okay, sa mga
conversation
minority,
as a whole.
assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
questions that
Sorry,
Ayan.
Philippine Coast Guard.
So, formal
another
naman
question?
tayo papasok sa ating programa. Okay, consolidated news natin. Okay,
Sasaki from the Kyoto News,
dito pa rin
Japanese.
sa kanyang
I wish to ask
sa unang tanong
TV
tungkol dun
news
sa
na, no? Kanyang banner
insidente sa
program.
Palawan. Yes.
Halo-halo special.
We have
yung
been
balita, diba po?
coordinating very
Okay,
closely
pakipollow,
with our
pakilike,
intelligence services,
pakishare,
with the Philippine National
saka-
Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, and all
Pakisubscribe
law
na
enforcement
masuki,
agencies
no?
of government.
Okay.
Gaya nga nung sinabi ko kanina,
Para
because
naman,
there will be announcements here in the next few days.
Okay, sa mga
Siguro what
planning.
I can say right now
Okay,
is that
mag-post
there
ako
will be
ng
more
mga
arrests.
alaga.
And this
Ayan po ang
includes
buhay
what
natin,
happened
no?
there in
Yan na
Palawan.
lang,
Because
paki-
we have ramped
follow,
up
paki-likes,
our
and paki-share.
counterintelligence efforts.
Okay, para mahaba.
And because of
naman.
that, we're
Ano?
slowly unraveling
Ayan.
the conspiracy.
Okay, so maraming
this
pwede
operation that being done
Okay.
by foreign actors to
pwede may
conduct
mga
espionage
link
in
po
the
sa
Philippines. No?
page ko mga
Ayoko lang pangunahan ang National Bureau of
Okay,
Investigation and the
di ba may
Department
po
of
ang
Justice. But yes,
okay,
we are
aking,
aware. In fact,
ang aking
we are part of the team
headline.
that's looking into this.
Okay, tungkol
and
kay
that
President Barack
We
Obama, no?
expect
Okay,
more
my
arrests in
dear
the coming
friend,
days because
okay,
you know
former
when
President
you
Barack Obama,
when you have this type of
don't
individual
allow
arrested,
yourself,
this leads to another individual
to
to another
be
individual,
destroyed
no? Because these
by
are all
technology, no?
cells,
Okay,
so
please.
to speak.
Ayan mga
Okay.
suki,
So
no?
the other question,
Okay.
the Typhoon missile system, I think
If
the
Obama
Philippine government
want
has
to,
been very clear. Its
file a
position that
divorce, okay,
the presence of the Typhoon
let her
missile system
file, no?
in the Philippines
but
is part,
I
was
will
part,
advise
of
that-
course,
I will
of the
advise
Balikatan
Mr. Obama,
exercises. So the
okay,
purpose of
to,
that was
your
to
divorce,
train
become
Filipino
peaceful.
troops in utilizing this. It is
to all
not for
listener, no?
offensive
Become
purposes.
peaceful.
No? It is
Okay,
primarily
not,
for defensive
in
purposes and to
social
ensure
media.
that the Philippines
Okay,
has
overexposed.
capacity to
Ayan.
operate
Yun ang
such
advice
weapon
natin.
system.
Tama ba yung
And
English
the
ko?
Philippines
Tama
has
yun,
expressed
mga
its
subalat.
interest to buy these
Ayan.
types of systems. In the same manner that
they
we
should,
bought the Brahmos
divorce.
missile system,
They
the same
wa-
manner that, you know,
they
we're getting
want,
other types of weapon
to
systems.
divorce.
The
Okay,
Typhoon is
at
just
least,
one of those
peaceful
tools that
divorce
we can
na
use
sige, no?
to strengthen
Hindi ba
our
mapahiyaan na?
comprehensive archipelagic
Alam mo
defense
na nga,
concept. And very clearly,
hindi na
it is for defensive
magkakahiyaan, alam mo na
purposes.
itong
So,
kalagayan natin sa
as mentioned by the armed
society,
forces,
no? Kabilis.
this is a sovereign act.
Yeah.
This is a
Kaya pag
decision of
mag-divorce sila,
the Philippine government.
divorce na lang.
And it is not meant for
Ayaw
any
na.
other state. It is for
Ayaw na
the
mag-reconcile.
territorial integrity of the
Atin
Philippines.
para
And quite rich for
ma-maintain,
China to
ma-sustain
talk
ang
about
kanilang,
nuclear war as well. Their nuclear
matagal na
submarines and
sumasama, no?
they're doing intercontinental ballistic
Kanilang,
missile tests last September. No,
Pero
from the
hindi
AFP
na.
perspective, and then I want to go also to Justice Scorpio on
At least
this big
dumaan tayo
question.
ng mag-advise. Okay, sa
For that,
kanilang
no,
mga susunod.
na-mention naman ni Sir, it's all part of the
Okay, katagal
comprehensive
lang pinagsamahan
archipelagic
nila.
defense concept.
Okay.
What we do in terms of
Mitchell
fortifying
Obama,
our defenses is a sovereign act of the
filed a divorce
Philippines.
action.
And kasama lahat yan, no, is are all interconnected to one another. Our CAD-C is connected to our modernization
Okay,
projects.
mga suki,
It's
mga
connected
kabuhan,
to the
sandali
laws
lang,
that are being
lipat
passed
tayo
yung
ng,
lumabas na about
ibang,
our archipelagic sea lanes, our
balita, no?
We're just following what China did to the U.S.
Okay,
China's,
okay. Balitang hangin muna ako.
to
Pabayaan muna natin yan.
prevent the Americans
Kasi
from
flooded po ng
sailing the South
itong,
China Sea. They
kwan,
developed
no?
their Daofeng
Sabi ng yakan parang
DF-21,
magsibuhay po
22
yung
missiles. And
content
that could
creator, no? Tungkol,
target the aircraft carriers 1,000 kilometers away.
Sikat na,
And
okay,
that is the
former
asymmetrical
President ng United
defense.
States at saka First Lady
Very
ng
expensive
Filipino.
to
Flooded.
have
Kaya,
aircraft carriers,
ganun yan
to develop aircraft carriers. So with this
Okay, balitang hangin muna
cheaper,
tayo. Hanapin natin ang
missiles,
balitang hangin.
you can
Sandali lang,
deter
Masuki,
the
no?
aircraft carriers from entering the South China Sea. We also cannot manufacture warships where they're very expensive. It's cheaper to have BrahMos missiles or Typhoon missiles to serve as deterrent. This is a matter of deterrence, really. We cannot hope to invade
Okay.
China with this. We cannot hope to defeat
Ayan.
China with this. We can only hope to deter China with this. And that's really the reason for this. Simply deterrence. Not to
Okay, yan po,
intimidate
mga
China
suki,
because
ang,
China's nuclear bombs. You cannot
ako,
intimidate
kakilala ko
somebody
naman si
who has
former
nuclear
president,
weapons
no?
and you don't have. You will be wiped out. So
Yan ang
this is
kakilala
purely
ko.
deterrence, and
Sige po, mga
that
suki,
is how China should see it. We're just defending
But Justice,
ourselves.
there was a question: should we eventually push the Americans to extend their nuclear umbrella to us, or maybe it's too early to go that far? Because that's a big debate in Japan, from what I understand my conversations.
Well, that goes already in the Mutual Defense Treaty because if there is a nuclear attack on us, then the Americans will be obliged legally to support us, and the only way to, under international law, you have to retaliate with the same force that was used against you. So if it's a nuclear attack, you can respond by a nuclear attack. That's automatic under the Mutual Defense Treaty. It's because mutual defense means you can respond proportionately to the gravity of the attack.
Are there other questions? We more proactively call out certain questionable behavior, perceptions, narratives, because I think we have to be honest that the Philippines is, for me, in a kind of a double Cold War, right? One is we're caught in between US and China, but the other one is that there are two major coming elections. I know our government people cannot say much about that, but I'll start with you, Justice Scorpio. How should we navigate this kind of a two-level Cold War of US-China competition and Duterte administration, or Duterte versus Marcos kind of competition as we head into these elections? Because my sense is could be the first election whereby TikTok will play a very important role, We saw that in the U.S. with the swing voters going for MAGA. We saw that in Indonesia with Prabowo's elections last year. But also, I think this is the election where we'll see a lot of discussion on West Philippines issue. We're already seeing surveys, no? Na boboto ba kayo sa mga pro-China candidates? We never had surveys like that before, right? Now we can have even... So that means that the tenure, the cadence, the trajectory of conversations is getting more serious because we're in a very serious situation. I think people are not realizing what's happening to us is not just normal espionage activities. This is like Berlin of the 21st century. I don't want to scare people, but I think we have to realize we are at the very front line of big tectonic movements in terms of geopolitics. Justice Carpio, maybe some final notes on that, and then also what are the things we should do moving forward, especially with elections coming in and things getting very hotted in the Philippines. Yeah.
Well, there is only one country in the world that is invading us using use of force or threat of force, and that's China. It's invading our maritime zones, it's invading our island territories in the West Philippine Sea. And there is only one country that is able to support us, to help us deter China, and that's the US. So it's very clear where we should ask for help, who should be our ally in this epic struggle to defend the West Philippine Sea. So, and in the Philippine context, you have families here. One family is allied with China, another family is allied with the US, and that is how it's being played now. So, at the moment, we are forced to ally ourselves with our former colonial master because our colonial master has no more territorial or maritime designs on our territory. It's China that has territorial and maritime designs on our territory. So I think the choice is obvious. We have to defend our maritime zones and our island territories. That's the first obligation of a state, to defend its territory, because without territory you don't have a state. And that's the way I look at it. We really have no choice but at this point to have the US as our ally, because it's the only nuclear armed country that's willing to defend us against a nuclear armed China. Thank you.
So avoid false equivalence. Just quick point, Justice Scorpio. Obviously, you know, you and I have not been shy of being critical of governments throughout different administration. Even when you were inside government, you were critical. I think in media, in academia, we're always trained to be basta kung anong position ng government, dapat we have to check it to balance it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't criticize the government, but do you think it is also important for people to realize that we need to have, I hate to use this word, unity more than ever, right? Considering the urgency of the situation we're facing. That's why I use the term whole of nation. Whole of nation doesn't mean that we'll just be okay with whatever happens with the government. But whole of nation is also this basic understanding na may mga bagay kung saan talaga dapat magsama-sama tayo. And may mga bagay na talaga you have to have private-public partnership, and civil society has to work in tandem. I mean, this conversation is very much multi-sectoral, right? Not only interagency. What do you have to say about that, Justice? Because you're the most experienced person here. You have straddled government, civil society, and academia throughout the years.
Well, as I said, I think the government now, the incumbent administration, is on the right path, right policy as far as the West Philippines is concerned. I mean, we just have to tweak some of the strategies and the tactics, but it's on the right path. We have to assert the arbitral award, we have to defend our island territories, and we have to strengthen our alliances with the U.S. and like-minded states. And we must invite our allies to sail in the West Philippine Sea, because by sailing the West Philippine Sea, they're actually enforcing the arbitral award. And we are on the right track, but we have to tweak some of these things because, like for example, arbitration, there's a reluctance to file an arbitration case now. We have to convince the government to do that. Thank you.
So proactive. Commodore Tariel, a final word?
minsan nagugulat ako kay Richard pag biglang ako na yung tatanungin, sir. But I think West Philippine Sea is the most unifying issue that we have right now. And the 2025 midterm election, para sa akin, this will be a litmus test on how unified the Filipinos are when we talk about the West Philippine Sea issue. Noong mga nakaraang eleksyon, we never ask accountability among the candidates how they stand or how they view the issue in the West Philippine Sea. But because of the transparency effort of the National Task Force West Philippine Sea, under the leadership of General Eduardo Año, we were able to awaken the sense of patriotism ng ating mga kababayang Pilipino. They were also asking like how ordinary Filipinos can support our fight in the West Philippine Sea. I think this coming election, this is the best way that you can support our fight in the West Philippine Sea. We have to make sure that those members of the legislative branch that we're going to elect, whether in the Senate or in the Congress, are those people who will be supporting President Bongbong Marcos in standing firm with his commitment of not surrendering a square inch of our territory to any foreign power. Huwag na tayong magboto ng mga kandidato na pro-China at susuport at hindi susuporta sa modernisasyon ng Armed Forces of the Philippines at ng Philippine Coast Guard. It will be very difficult for the AFP and for the Coast Guard, for BFAR and other government agencies to support our annual budget kung ang ilalagay natin sa Kongreso ay ang mga miyembro ng Kongreso at Senado na never really cared about our fight in the West Philippine Sea. So, the most important and patriotic contribution that you can do for our fight in the West Philippine Sea are elect members of the legislative branch will be supporting our government in not surrendering a square inch of our territory. Thank you.
Mr.
Arcing premise is our right is our right. So ang sabi nga ni Jay, no, ang uniting factor ng Filipinos ngayon is the usapin ng West Philippine Sea. And with that, no, as we shift from the AFP, from the internal security operations to territorial defense, and with this, bawat mamamayang Pilipino, parte tayo dyan, as we exercise our constitutional right to have our voice be heard and have a stake on who will be leading us into our future, no? Ito lahat, we do not lose focus on the bigger challenge and the bigger picture out there. Kung ano man itong mga nangyayari internally, let's look at how it is connected to the influences that we have with the bigger challenges we have. And as one Filipino nation, no, kung ano man yan, pinupush natin na for the rest of this, natin, no, mga kababayan natin na nalihis ng landas to come back to the folds of the law, and together we fight a bigger challenge, which is territorial defense. And so, ang laging binabanggit ng AFP po dyan is, ito po ang ating karagatan, ito ang ating karapatan, at ito ang ating kinabukasan. This is our seas, our rights, and our future. So, alamin natin ito, atin itong ipaglaban, at atin itong suportahan.
Yusuf Malay?
Sabi ko, actually, Tariela for Senator. Matagal ko na itong sinasabi eh. And medyo disappointed ako nung gumaan yung filing ng candidacy. Hindi nag-file ang aking senador. So, pagpasensya na natin hanggang Coast Guard na lang siya. For now. Well, una-una, just very short lang naman to. I just want to thank the Filipino people for the overwhelming support. 84% of the public in the latest OCTA survey show that 84% of the Filipino people support the Philippine government's position in asserting our rights in the West Philippine Sea. And as you mentioned in the back, 100%. It's because we're not a authoritarian state. We are democracy. And 84% sa ibang bansa, napakalaki na niyan. You know, sila, meron na silang 55%, 56%, tuwan-tuwa na sila. That's already a vast majority. But us to have 84% in one of the largest countries in the world, no? With a large
they are now a
population,
senior
to have
citizen.
that kind of critical mass
Why not
supporting
to
government is a
reconcile?
really big thing, and that is because of people like you, Richard, no, and my colleagues here in government who continue to fight the good fight for God and country. Maraming salamat.
Trouble.
Thank you very much.
Naman na sila. Okay, can you imagine with a 68 billion network, ay bihira po mga suki, no? Okay, 68 billion network of this family. Okay, former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, no? Combined network.
In fact, maybe just in the
So,
same way in Europe, there's
natamaan
discussion
po ng
about
gitna.
them shouldering their own burdens more, the Germans and the French. Maybe the effect could also be our allies in the region will also step up. It's not like Japan or India or small players or Australia. These are
Instead,
trillion-dollar
I am
economies.
happy
So
now.
I think before pushing the panic button, we have to realize that yes, China is big, but there are also other players who are not small. And some of them are
very
even bigger
good
than China
because,
potentially, like India down the road.
they are they
Kay
are,
Yusek, from a National Security
my
Council
idol.
point of view, how are we, I don't want to use the word hedge because we're an ally with the
Barack
United
Obama
States,
and
obviously,
Michelle
but
Obama
how are
is
we
my
making
idol.
sure that our options are not circumscribed by the whims of,
Sira po yung pagsama nila.
wouldn't be nice if we have just peace with China, we'll solve all the problems together. Like, how do we make sure we're not confined to those kinds of
Siguro, Richard, let me answer that question by first saying that we are at the early stages of the Trump administration. No, it's very early. No, we're still trying to, even the people in the State Department, even the people in the Pentagon,
And of course, sorry, if
Okay,
you can also say
so
something on the
si-
90-day freeze on the aid, yeah, please.
even the
Dante
American public,
Marcoleta, Attorney
they're
Dante
also trying to
Marcoleta,
find
vote
out,
30,
navigate
no?
through the new
Okay.
administration. So
Kay
I think this is just
Marcoleta,
part
may
of the
pag-asa.
adjustment period, no?
Dante Marcoleta.
But you know what's
Senator.
very what I think what I must emphasize
Number,
is in the
30.
early stages of the administration, like
Kanyang
2
number,
days after the oath taking,
sige po.
Secretary Manalo
Sana maka-
and Secretary
Okay,
Rubio had this
makaupo yan.
very important phone call.
Makaupo sa
That's right.
One
And
po ng Senado.
here in
Number
this
30
call,
yan.
Secretary Rubio underscored the U.S. ironclad commitment.
Okay, anong
I was
gagawin
not really
natin?
expecting this early.
Kasi maghiwalay
Because if
na.
you remember, this ironclad commitment really was utilized by the Biden administration. So it's now being so I think if we base our assessment here,
Sige
no,
po, sige po mga
it really shows the
Sandali lang.
solid
Hanap tayo
foundation
kasunod ng
of the U.S.-Philippine alliance. No? And it would be too early for us to speculate on what this might be. Now, talking about how the U.S. deals with NATO, really, President Trump's issue with NATO is about the contribution of member nations into the cost of NATO, because the United States is the one paying for the large chunk of NATO expenses. So what Trump wants is, since we're providing the security umbrella, you have to step up as well, because the cost to the United States is enormous, and he would like to devote these resources to the American citizens. No?
So
Okay,
logically,
sandali lang pa. Sahuran ko muna
are we in a position to tell
kalimutan
Trump,
ko, no?
you stand with us because we're doing our part?
Exactly. And I think we have shown to the United States that we have been ramping up also our defense spending. We now have a very clear archipelagic, comprehensive archipelagic defense concept, which really requires enormous sums of money into investment into Philippine defense, to military spending or security spending. So if we follow the logic in NATO, wherein he's asking the NATO members to devote more of their resources, I think 3% of their GDP to defense, we're also doing the same money to be able to continue the Horizon 3, which is now focused on external defense and the territorial security of the country.
Using in short, you're saying we're not in the same boat, we're not even in the same lake. Because when it comes to Trump's concern with Europe, it's a completely different situation from ours. Because here in Asia, we're doing our part.
Exactly.
And that the foundations are strong and bipartisan. Just to be clear, the 90-day freeze,
Yes.
what kind of aid does it affect? Does it affect foreign military financing from US? Does it affect other kind of defense aid agreements we have? Ano yung mga apektado dyan? And by the way, freeze lang yun, hindi ibig sabihin mawala yan, di ba? Yeah.
Kasi there are two documents that came out of the White House. The first, from the United States government. The first one is the executive order issued by President Trump, and the second one was the memorandum issued by Secretary Rubio. And the one by President Trump it's still unclear. It's a bit ambiguous on what is the extent of the review being done. So even if we talk to our friends in the United States government, they're still trying to find out exactly. But my understanding is that it does not cover things like Balikatan. It mostly covers development assistance to the Philippines, in particular the USAID projects in the Philippines. So anything funded by USAID, anything funded by the State Department will undergo a 90-day review. It doesn't mean that these projects will not continue. It's just that President Trump wants to make sure that all of these projects are aligned to U.S. foreign policy. And if we base this on the discussions that we've had with U.S. leaders, members of the Trump administration, as I mentioned earlier, is that in my opinion, all of the projects that the U.S. are doing here are aligned with U.S. Foreign policy, especially the question of does this assistance strengthen the United States, or does it make the United States more secure? And I think all of their projects here make the United States more secure.
I think probably it also has to do with the cultural wars and issues there. Maybe Trump administration is just making sure yung pera hindi napupunta sa mga woke projects, as they call it, right? It's not really about, MAGA, we don't care about the world. So you're saying it's not an isolationist thing, it's just kind of a reassessment of some basic alignment in terms of America's spending abroad, because this is taxpayers' money for Americans, so it should be understandable. Again, I'm saying this because we have friends who are making mountain out of this, and sinasabi na, paano na yung mga budget na mga bayaran na Amerika? May mga nagpapatawa. Sabi ko, kamusta naman China? Medyo nag-shrink yung economy. Baka naman. Last point, and then I want to open it up. Commentary, of course, your PhD was from Japan. Philippine Coast Guard has absolutely great relationship with Japan. Japan played a very important role in modernization of our Coast Guard. What do you have to say about the other important players in light of the fact that we had an RRA ratified with Japan, the French are coming in, and I think people forget, actually, a lot of our modern weapon systems are not American, they're Koreans, they're Indian, Israeli, you get what I'm saying? So I think people forget that actually we are very diversified already in terms of our defense acquisitions, and also in Coast Guard, how much helpful other countries are against, aside from the US.
Thank you, Richard. But before that, I would like to share my optimism muna. For this Trump administration. I think people has already forgotten that the first time that they clarified the mutual defense treaty that is also covering South China Sea was during the time of President Trump and having Secretary Pompeo as a Secretary of State in 2019. That was the first time that the U.S. government clarified that the mutual defense treaty can be applied to the South China Sea. So, Trump has been like that since Trump 1.0 during his first administration. So ngayon, he can say whatever he wants, but with the cabinet members that are in place right now, and I'm also a believer that United States is a mature democratic country. There are democratic institutions in place that will not allow the U.S. government to, deteriorate from being protector of the rules-based order that we all enjoy. And, without going into details kasi alis si Justice Carpio, I would also like to highlight that the transparency effort of the Philippine government is also anchored in protecting our interests na hindi tayo dependent sa isang bansa lamang. The transparency initiative that we're doing is to create awareness to the international partners who are protector of the rules-based order. We have to make sure that across Europe, Japan, Australia, and the entire world, to include India, that there is this one country that is intentionally and blatantly violating the international law. I've always been mentioning this. The transparency to deepen our security cooperation and to support our modernization efforts for the military. We can now hear from Germany, France, United Kingdom, and Canada as well. Even the Indian government is also supportive of our efforts. And that's another positive impact of the Transparency Initiative.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that clarification and a more positive note under the Trump 2.0 administration. Now, because Justice has to go a little bit ahead, the rest will still stick around a little bit. Siguro yung mga ibang kaibigan natin sa media, if they have questions that has to do with the legal aspects of the West Philippines disputes or even the strategic aspects, are there any questions or any reactions or?
Yeah, I think we have to be more strict in registering late birth registrations with the Register of Civil Registrar. If there is a late registration, it should not be the sole authority of the civil registrar to approve it. It should go to, let's say, DOJ or some other body, just to make sure that there is a counter-checking mechanism, because you've seen a lot of late registrations that turn out to be fake, and as
most
let's say,
admired couple.
entry of a lot of
Barack Obama and Michelle Obama.
Chinese aliens getting Filipino citizenship. So I think that has to be strengthened. It cannot be the civil registrar himself who will decide that this late registrant should be approved. It has to be another body just to counter-check.
And a vision for a better future. Born on August 4th,
For that, no,
1961,
an advantage
in
is
Honolulu,
when
Hawaii,
there is
Barack Hussein
smoke,
Obama
there is
II
flame.
grew
So
up
we do
in a
not
multicultural
downplay any
environment.
report that is given
His
to the Armed
father,
Forces of the
Barack Obama
Philippines.
Sr., was
Ang
from
AFP is
Kenya,
just one of the
and his
players
mother,
in
Ann
this.
Dunham,
So if you look at
was
this,
from
we have
Kansas.
to approach it
Obama's
in a whole
parents
of
separated
government
when he was very young,
approach.
and his mother
So if you
raised
look
him
at
with the
all
help
of
of
this
his
malign
grandparents.
influence, all of
Despite
this
facing challenges
parts
as an
and bits
ex-race
and pieces
child,
that form
Obama
part
was
of a grand
ambitious
plan,
from an early age.
tulong-tulong ang lahat-lahat ng
The
iba't
best
ibang
way to
ahensya
not
rito.
feel
So
hopeless
tinitingnan
is to
natin
get
dito
up and do
katulad nitong
something,
huling
he once said.
national
His mother always encouraged him to
iniimbestigahan
work hard
natin.
and believe in
He got
himself.
his
Obama
citizenship
excelled in
because he
school
married a
and later
Filipino.
attended
So
Occidental
nasa batas
College in Los
kasi din
Angeles before
natin yun. No?
transferring
So
to Columbia
yun yung
University in
nagamit
New York.
for legality
After
of that.
graduation,
So
he worked as a
what we
community
look into
organizer
the
in
side of the
Chicago,
AFP,
where he helped
national
struggling neighborhoods.
security
Change
implications.
will not come
So yun
if we
yung
wait
sa
for
side
some other
natin. That's
person
why
or if we
we
wait for
are
some other time, he
fortifying
once
our
said.
units to
We're the
have
ones
this
we've been waiting for.
intelligence
Obama's
command
passion for
and
social
cyber
justice
command.
led him to
Kasi nga,
Harvard Law
ito na
School,
yung
where he
modern
became the first black
warfare that we're
president of the
facing.
Harvard
So we
Law
also
Review.
have to
His
marry
leadership and
yung
intelligence
efforts
stood
ng
out.
ating
He was
AFP
respected by
into
both
the contemporary
students and
modern
professors.
challenges
After
that we
law
face.
school,
So
Obama
ito,
returned to
hindi kaya
Chicago
ng
and
AFP
worked as a
ito
civil
lang,
rights
but
lawyer and professor.
together with all
In
other
1996,
agencies. Kasi
Obama
nga,
entered politics,
Bureau of
winning a seat
Immigration,
in the
kasama
Illinois State
dito,
Senate.
no?
He
Diba? Pati
focused
nga
on
po yung
healthcare, education, and ethics
birth
reforms.
certificates
His
and all,
ability
they're
to
all
bring
part of
people
this.
together and
So,
inspire hope
hindi
made him a
siya
rising star in politics.
isang
In
part na po ang
2004,
AFP to
Obama's
this. No?
speech
So
at
it's,
the
we have to
Democratic
have
National
great
Convention made
alliances
him a
also with the
national
different
figure.
agencies
His
on this.
words
And
resonated with millions.
for this,
There is not a
nakita natin
liberal
na
America
naging
and a
mapanuri na nga tayo
conservative
ngayon
America.
as we
There
keep
is the
saying
United
that
States of
security
America.
is everyone's
His speech
responsibility.
catapulted him into
Hindi
the
lang din
spotlight,
government
and
ito,
soon after,
but
he
bawat
was elected
mamamayang
to the
Pilipino.
U.S. Senate.
So
During
hindi
his
natin
time in the Senate, he worked
maisang
on
tabi
issues
na
like
malaking
healthcare,
tulong po yung
climate
reports
change,
na
and government
binibigay ng ating mga
transparency.
kababayan
However,
for
his
us to
vision
really
was
closely
bigger.
look
He
into this.
believed in
And kung
uniting
meron
people
pang report
bringing
na
real
matanggap ang
change.
AFP,
In
action na
2007,
namin.
Obama announced his candidacy for president. Many
There's a
doubted him, but his
disproportionate
message of
focus
hope
based
and
on our
unity
intelligence that
inspired
certain
millions.
demographics
His
are being
campaign
targeted.
slogan, "Yes, we
Should we
can,"
work with
became a movement.
community leaders
The road ahead
there?
will be long,
Because
he told supporters.
as we speak, there are
But always
community leaders who are
remember that
saying,
no
"Oh,
matter
don't
what
target us
obstacles
and all." So
stand in
maybe
our
the
way,
logical
Yes,
solution is
nothing
let's just work
can stand in the
together
way
so
of
that
the
it doesn't come
power
off
of
as if
millions of
we're
voices
targeting the whole
calling for
community.
change.
We're just trying
With
to
the
look at
support
the
of
rotten
young voters,
apples here and there.
minorities, and people who believed in a better
Yes, you know,
future,
so
Obama
this is all
won the
part of this.
2008
No? So,
election, defeating
yung
Senator
Transparency
John McCain
Initiative, sa amin sa
on
AFP
January
po, we
20,
came up with our
2009.
communications plan.
Para bang yung
No? Meron tayong
Yes
plan
We Can
mulat.
sa-
So kasama
sa
yan,
kanya,
we
no?
could really go
Dito
down
sa Pilipinas,
to
yung
the
unity
levels
team,
of even our fishermen,
ang bigas
kinakausap,
ay 20
fishermen,
pesos.
kinakausap natin yan.
Parang mga ganun.
Kaya nga, itong mga part
Okay.
ng drones ngayon, nire-report na
Sa
nila.
kay Pinoy naman
So,
doon, daang
through,
matuwid.
through all of this, yung huling lumabas
kasi may
was a previous
nakadraw
incident
mga
pa.
daan ganun,
Dahil nakita nga niya na
kaliwa,
ito na
kanan.
malaking usapin na
Papunta
to.
ka sa
Na yung
kaliwa,
dati,
hindi
hindi
maganda.
naman nila
Punta sa
nire-report because these are
kanan,
small
hindi
incidents
maganda.
lang. Ngayon,
Kaya doon
they also
sa-
see a bigger
Okay,
picture to
diretso
this. So,
na
mas malawak
daanan.
na rin yung
Kaya daan
understanding
matuwid.
ng bawat Pilipino, no? And yung concern nila
Okay.
to be part
Daan
of this.
matuwid. Mga
So,
ganun
gusto
yan
talaga
eh.
din natin dyan is to
Sa
ignite
kanya,
the
yes, we
patriotism
can.
of the
Kanyang,
Filipino and the nationalism
banner
of every
program ng-
Filipino to be part
Okay,
of this
pag-unite
this
ng,
conversation as a whole.
mga kano. So nanalo siya.
questions that, you know,
Ang
sorry,
masaklap lang
Philippine
ito,
Coast
yung
Guard.
hiwalayan ito
And
mga suki, no?
another question?
Hindi maganda. Unacceptable. Okay. Their,
Sasaki
their,
from the Kyodo
split.
News, Japanese.
Okay,
And
their,
I
their,
wish to ask
Nasa unang
divorce.
tanong tungkol dun sa
acceptable to many
incident
millions
sa Palawan. Yes.
of their followers.
We have been
Hindi maganda.
coordinating very closely with our intelligence
Not good.
services, with
Divorce.
the Philippine National Police, the
Ayan,
National Bureau of
pumasok na.
Investigation, and all law enforcement agencies of
wala tayong
government.
magawa, former president
Kaya nga
na lang,
sinabi ko
mayaman
kanina,
na
because
sila.
there will be announcements
Bahala
here
na po mga
in the next few days.
Ano
No?
man yan.
Well,
Mayaman man
siguro
sila
what
na.
I can say right now is that
Okay.
there will be more arrests. And this includes
Hindi rin,
what happened
hindi
there
rin,
in Palawan.
kinig.
No?
Ayan po.
Because we
They are
have
not
ramped
listening.
up our counterintelligence
They are not
efforts.
Former
And because of
President
that,
Barack Obama
we're
and
slowly
Mr. Obama,
unraveling
they are
the
not listening.
conspiracy, no?
Okay,
This
to the advice
operation that being
of
done
many.
by foreign actors
Sige
to
po, mga suki.
conduct espionage. Its position that the
Next
presence
portion, no?
of the
Sige,
typhoon
continue
missile
lang.
system in the
Saka tayo
Philippines
mag-vlogging.
is part
He was
was
sworn in
part
as the
of course
44th
of the
President of
Balikatan
the United
exercises.
States,
So the purpose
making
of that
history as the
44th
first black
president.
president.
uh,
Obama
train
took office
Filipino
during the
troops
worst
in
financial
utilizing
crisis since
this.
the Great Depression.
It is not for
He worked
offensive
tirelessly to
purposes.
stabilize the
It is
economy, reform
primarily
healthcare,
for
and
defensive
strengthen
purposes
international
and to ensure
relations.
that
His
the
Affordable
Philippines
Care Act,
has
also known as
capacity
Obamacare,
to operate
provided
such
health care to
weapon
millions
system.
of Americans.
And the Philippines
He also
has
focused
expressed
on
its
equality,
interest to buy these
justice,
types of
and
systems.
climate change.
In the same manner
In
that we bought the
2011,
Ramos
under
missile
his
system,
leadership, the
the
U.S.
same manner that
military
you know,
found
we're
and
getting
killed
other types of
Osama
weapon
bin Laden,
systems.
the mastermind
Typhoon
behind
is
the
just one of
9/11
those,
attacks.
uh,
Despite political
tools that
challenges
we
and
can use
criticism,
to
Obama
strengthen
remained
comprehensive
optimistic. The
archipelagic
arc of
defense.
the moral universe may bend towards
Growing your
justice,
dream
but
business
it
and
doesn't
selling
bend on
products
its
that are
own,
loved
he
doesn't
said,
have to be a struggle
reminding
with the
people
right
that
tool
change
like OT.
requires effort and
Integration of your
persistence.
end-to-end business
Obama
process,
was
exploring
reelected in
labor as
2012,
easy as
defeating Mitt Romney. He
and
continued
managing
his
tasks
work
among
on
your
climate
team
policy,
becomes as simple
economic
as
growth,
drag and drop.
equal
Let
rights.
the right tool
After
compile
leaving
the right
office in
data for you to make
2017,
smart growth
he and Michelle
strategies with
focused on
confidence so that
philanthropy
you
and
can focus
leadership
on what
development
really
through the
matters to
Obama
grow your
Foundation.
dream
His
business.
journey from a young
Unleash
boy
your
with
growth
big
potential
dreams to the
and let
President of the
Odoo do
United
the
States
rest.
proves that anything is possible.
Cheese Whiz has
His
calcium
story
that helps
inspires
make your
millions
bones
around the
strong.
world.
Cheese
As
Whiz
he
for the
famously
strength to
said,
do more.
The future rewards
Maraming
those who
tagahanga
press
eh.
on.
Defense concept.
I don't have
And very
time to
clearly,
feel sorry for
it is for
myself. I don't
defensive
have time to
purposes,
complain.
no?
I'm going
So,
to press on. Before
as
Barack
mentioned by the
Obama
armed
became the
forces,
leader of the free world,
this
he
is a
found his
sovereign
greatest
act.
strength
This is
in
a
a lifelong
decision
partner,
of the Philippine
Michelle.
government,
But how
and
did
it
their
is
love
not
story
meant for
begin?
any other
And what
state.
challenges
It is
did they
for
face on their journey to the White House?
the
Let's tell you the
territorial
marriage
integrity
story of
the Philippines.
Barack and Michelle Obama.
And quite rich for China to talk
Barack
about
and
nuclear
Michelle
war
Obama's
as well. They're
journey
nuclear
together.
submarines and they're doing
The year was
intercontinental ballistic missile
1989.
tests last September.
Michelle
No? But from the
Robinson was a
AFP
young,
perspective, and then I want to
ambitious
go
lawyer
also to
working
Justice
at the
Scorpion,
prestigious
this
Sidley
big
and
question.
Austin law firm in Chicago. She
For
had
that
grown up
note,
on the south side
na-mention
of the
naman ni Sir,
city,
it's all
earning
part of
degrees
the
from Princeton
comprehensive
and Harvard Law
archipelagic defense
School.
concept.
When a promising young summer
What
associate
we
named
do
Barack Obama
in
joined the
terms of
firm,
fortifying our
Michelle was
defenses
assigned
is a
as his
sovereign
mentor.
act of the
From the
Philippines.
start, she
And
saw him as
kasama
brilliant,
lahat
but
yan,
wasn't
these are
interested
all
romantically.
interconnected to
At
one
least
another.
not yet.
Our
Barack,
CAD-C
however, was immediately
is
drawn
connected
to
to our
Michelle's
modernization
intelligence,
projects.
poise, and confidence.
It's connected to
He was
the laws that
persistent
are
in
being passed,
pursuing
yung
her, but Michelle was
lumabas na
hesitant.
about our
She was
archipelagic
concerned
sea
about
lanes,
workplace
our
relationships and was focused on her
SRTP.
career. But Barack
So
wasn't
lahat po
just
ito
anyone.
is
His
all
charm,
connected to
intellect,
one
and
another.
vision for
So
the future set him apart.
whatever we
After
do
some time,
in
Michelle
terms of
agreed to go on a
fortifying our
date,
defenses
and that decision
is
would
for
change
us
both
to
of their
determine
lives
and to
forever.
put into
Their
play
first
without
date was a
any
mix of simple
external
pleasures.
entity dictating how
My
we
name is
would
Ed. I am 41 years old.
Justice Scorpio,
I'm
how do you
mother
see
of
the
three.
whole
I am an
Typhoon
aircraft
drama?
a business
Do you think the
owner.
Philippines should push for
July
acquisition of those
2008.
weapon systems? Do you think
A visit to the
we're
Art
making
Institute of
the
Chicago,
Chinese
a
rightfully
stroll
nervous
around the
about
city,
this?
and a screening of
What
Do
should be
the
the
Right
big
Thing.
grand
From
strategy
that
on
day
this
on,
front, if I
their
may say?
connection deepened. As their
Well,
relationship grew, so
we're
did
just
their
following
understanding
what
of each
China
other's
did to
strengths
the
and
US.
weaknesses. Barack was
The
thoughtful,
Chinese,
driven, and deeply
to-
passionate about
to
social justice.
prevent the
Michelle was
Americans
pragmatic,
from
strong-willed, and had
sailing
a full
the
sense of
South China Sea. They
responsibility.
developed
Together,
their
they balanced each other
Dauphin,
out perfectly.
the
Michelle once
F-21
admitted that she was
missiles,
drawn to Barack's
and that
conviction
could
and calm nature.
target the
He was
aircraft
different.
carriers
He was strong,
1,000
but he had a deep
kilometers
sense
away.
of empathy. He knew
And,
exactly what he wanted
that
in
is
life.
the
and he
asymmetrical
made me
defense,
believe in a bigger vision, she
very
recalled in an
expensive
interview.
to
Barack, on the other hand,
have
was captivated
aircraft
by
carriers
Michelle's
to
warmth,
develop
resilience, and
aircraft carriers.
ability to
So
keep him grounded.
with
She was one of the
this,
few people who could challenge me and
far
make me think in
cheaper
ways I hadn't before. he once
missiles,
said.
you can
She
deter
kept me
the
honest,
aircraft
and she
carriers
kept
from
me
entering
humble.
the South China Sea.
Their relationship
We
wasn't
also
just
cannot
built on love, but on
manufacture
mutual respect,
warships where they're
shared
very
values,
expensive.
and the
It's
common
cheaper
goal
to
of
have
making a
BrahMos
difference in the
missiles
world.
or
In
Typhoon missiles
1991, after
to
2
serve
years
as
of dating,
deterrent. This
Barack
is a
planned
matter
a
of
proposal
deterrence,
that
really.
perfectly suited their dynamic.
We cannot
One
hope to
evening, while
invade
having
China
dinner
with
at their
this. We
favorite
cannot hope
Chicago
to defeat
restaurant,
China
Barack
with this.
casually
We can
mentioned
only
that
hope
he
to
didn't see the
deter
point of
China
marriage.
with this.
Michelle,
That's
who
really
had been hoping for
the
a
reason for
proposal,
this.
was
Simply
visibly
deterrence.
disappointed. Moments later, the
Not to
waiter arrived with a
intimidate China,
dessert plate,
because
and inside
China's
was a
nuclear
ring.
bombs. You cannot
Barack had been
intimidate
teasing
somebody
her all
because
along.
nuclear
Michelle
weapons
said
that you don't
yes,
have,
and in
you
October
will be wiped out.
1992,
So
they
this
got
is
married
purely
in a beautiful
deterrence,
ceremony
and
surrounded by
that
friends
is
and family.
how China
Their wedding
should
was filled
see
with
it.
laughter,
We're just
joy,
defending
But
our
Justice, there was a question: should we
Michelle's brother
eventually
walked her down the aisle,
push the Americans
and
to extend their
Barack's
nuclear
close
umbrella
friend
to us, or maybe
officiated
it's
the
too early to
ceremony.
go that
As
far? Because
Barack's political
that's a big
career
debate in
took off,
Japan, from what I
Michelle
understand
stood
from
by him.
conversations.
She
Well,
had her
that
reservations
goes
about
already
politics,
the
knowing it
mutual
would
defense
demand
treaty, because
sacrifices. Yet
if
she
there is a
believed in
nuclear
Barack's
attack
vision
on
for
us,
change.
then the
When
Americans
Barack ran for the
would be
presidency
obliged
in 2008,
legally
Michelle
to
became his
support us. And
strongest
the only way
advocate.
to,
She campaigned
under international
tirelessly,
law,
delivering
you
powerful
have to
speeches
retaliate
and connecting
with the
people
same
across the
force
country.
that
When
was
he
used
won,
against you.
he stepped
So if
into
it's
the
a
White
nuclear
House
attack,
as not
you
just
can
the first
respond by a
couple,
nuclear
but as
attack.
partners
That's
in
automatic
service.
under the
Michelle
Mutual Defense
transformed the
Treaty.
role of First
It's
Lady,
because
focusing on
mutual
initiatives like
defense means
childhood
you can
nutrition,
respond
military
proportionately
families, and education.
to the gravity
Through
of
it
the
all, their
attack.
bond remained strong. They were often
Are there
seen
other
sharing private
questions?
smiles, holding hands, and stealing moments of joy amid their demanding
We more
responsibility.
proactively
After
call
leaving the
out
White House, Joe
certain questionable behavior, perceptions, narratives, because I think we have to be honest that the Philippines is for me in a kind of a double Cold War, right? One is we're caught in between US and China, but the other one is that there are two major coming elections. I know our government people cannot say much about that, but I'll start with you, Justice Carpio. How should we navigate this kind of a two-level Cold War of US-China competition and Duterte administration, or Duterte versus Marcos kind of competition as we head into these elections? Because my sense is could be the first election whereby TikTok will play a very important role. We saw that in the U.S. with the swing voters going for MAGA. We saw that in Indonesia with proposed elections last year. But also, I think this is an election where we'll see a lot of discussion on West Philippine Sea issue. We're already seeing surveys, no? Na boboto ba kayo sa mga pro-China candidates? We never had surveys like that before, right? Now we can have even... So that means that the tenure, the cadence, the trajectory of conversations is getting more serious because we're in a very serious situation. I think people are not realizing what's happening to us is not just normal espionage activities. This is like Berlin of the 21st century. I don't want to scare people, but I think we have to realize we are at the very front line of big tectonic movements in terms of geopolitics. Justice Scarpio, maybe some final notes on that, and then also what are the things we should do moving forward, especially with elections coming in and things getting very hotted in the Philippines.
Well, there is only one country in the world that is invading us
It was an
using
emotional roller coaster.
use of force or
And I had
threat
to
of
remind
force,
myself
and
that it
that's
wasn't my
China.
fault.
It's
Yep.
invading our
Okay,
maritime
mag-plugging
zones,
tayo,
it's invading our island
mabilis ang
territories
oras.
in the West Philippine
Okay,
Sea.
sandali ang mga
And there is
sunod,
only one country that is able to support us. We are forced to ally ourselves with our former colonial master because our colonial master has no more
Okay, mag-plugging
territorial
na
or
tayo.
maritime
Nila
designs on
Carpio,
our
nila Richard.
territory. It's China that has
Iberia.
territorial and
Kasama
maritime
mga
designs on
Amerikano.
our territory.
Ayan.
So
Okay,
I think
plugging
the
tayo.
choice is obvious.
Okay, sa gabi
We have
nito.
to defend
Ayan.
our maritime
Okay,
zones and
parang,
our island territories. That's the first
Parang
obligation of a
artista.
state to defend
Okay,
its
itong kaibigan
territory,
ko si,
because without
Richard,
territory you
yan,
don't have a
Ariel
state.
Tubin, no?
And
Okay,
that's the
napaka-
way I
bilis
look at it.
pa
We
gusto
really
niya,
have no choice.
Pumasok
But
ng former
at
campaign
this
po ng
point,
national,
to
no?
have the U.S. as
Ng
an
national,
ally, because it's the
campaign.
only
Okay,
nuclear
para sa
armed
mga
country
senador
that's
natin.
willing to defend
Parang
us
superstar.
against a nuclear
Saan
armed China.
makarating?
Thank you.
So avoid false equivalence. Just quick point, Justice Scarpio.
Official page to
Obviously, you know, you and I have not been shy of being critical of governments throughout different administration. Even when you were inside government, you were critical. I think in media, in academe, we're always trained to be, basta kung anong position ng government, dapat we have to check it to balance it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't criticize the government, but do you think it is also important for people to realize that we need to have, I hate to use this word, unity more than ever, right? Considering the urgency of the situation we're facing. That's why I use the term whole of nation. Whole of nation doesn't mean that we'll just be okay with whatever happens with the government. But whole of nation is also this basic understanding na may mga bagay kung saan talaga dapat magsama-sama tayo. And may mga bagay na talaga you have to have private-public partnership and civil society has to work in tandem. I mean, this conversation is very much multisectoral, right? Not only interagency. What do you have to say about that, Justice? Because you're the most experienced person here. You have straddled government, civil society, and academia throughout the years.
Well, as I said, I think the government now, the incumbent administration, is on the right path, right policy as far as the West Philippine Sea is concerned. I mean, we just have to tweak some of the strategies and the tactics, but it's on the right path. We have to assert the arbitral award, we have to defend our island territories, and we have to strengthen our alliances with the U.S. and like-minded states. And we must invite our allies to sail in the West Philippine Sea, because by sailing the West Philippine Sea, they're actually enforcing the arbitral award. And we are on the right track, but we have to tweak some of these things because, like for example, in arbitration, there's a reluctance to file an arbitration case. Now we have to convince the government to do that. Thank you.
So proactive. Commodore Tariela, final word.
Okay, maintain. Okay, ang capability na hindi magsunod.
Minsan nagugulat ako kay Richard pag biglang ako na yung tatanungin, sir.
No? So yan,
Well, I think West Philippine Sea is the
una
most
ay
unifying
na-plugin
issue
natin,
that we have
botohan
right
natin
now.
sa
And the
Mayo,
2025
sa
midterm election,
Okay.
para sa akin, this will
Pataas
be a
ng
litmus
pataas po.
test
Panalo
on
ito,
how
no?
unified the Filipinos are
100%
when we talk about the
panalo
West
ito,
Philippine Sea issue.
Okay,
Noong mga
kaya
nakaraang
ayaw
election,
pero
we never
Pustahan, pag
ask
meron
accountability
pustahan,
among the candidates
panalo
how they stand or
Ganun
how
na,
they view
gagaan po
the
ng,
issue in the
ah,
West Philippine Sea.
kanyang,
But because of the
pag-pick
transparency
up,
effort of the National
okay,
Task Force West
pag-pick up ng
Philippine
tao,
Sea under the leadership
okay,
of Jai
maraming,
Eduardo Anyong,
kumikilos,
we were able to
maraming
awaken the
pumasok,
sense of
no?
patriotism ng ating mga
Okay,
kababayang
kahit
Pilipino.
ito hindi
They were also asking like how
Okay,
ordinary
po.
Filipinos
Hindi po
can
ay
support
tanggap
our
po
fight in the
ng,
West Philippine Sea.
mamamayan.
I think this coming election,
sa
this is the
pinaglaban
best
niya.
way that you can support our fight in the West Philippine Sea.
anti-corruption mga
We have to
susunod.
make sure that
Okay,
those
anti-corruption.
members of the legislative
Okay,
branch that we're
maraming
going to
mga-
elect,
mga plataforma,
whether in the Senate or
okay,
in the Congress,
accepted po ng
are those
taong-
people who will be supporting
taong
President
bayan.
Bongbong Marcos
Kaya nga.
in standing
Okay.
firm with his commitment of
Mga
not surrendering a
sigurado
square
ako
inch of
ito
our
panalo
territory
itong
to any
territory,
foreign
no?
power.
Okay,
Huwag na
tuloy
tayong
po yung
magboto
matapos po ang
ng mga
kampanya.
kandidato
Okay, ganun
na
na.
pro-China at
Simple
susuport
lang,
at hindi
simple.
susuporta sa modernisasyon ng Armed Forces of the Philippines at ng Philippine
Simple
Coast Guard.
lang. Hindi-
It will be very difficult
Hindi po ay
for the AFP
banatero,
and for the
hindi,
Coast
hindi.
Guard, for BFAR and other
Okay,
government
mga katotohanan
agencies
lang.
to support our annual
Okay, ito nga,
budget.
38,
Kung
yan
ilalagay
din,
natin sa
panalo ng mga
Kongreso
suki, no?
ay ang mga
Okay,
membro
itong si
ng
Atty.
Kongreso at
Rodante
Senado
Marcoleta.
na never really
Okay,
cared
panalo
about
yan
our
mga
fight in
suki.
the West Philippine Sea.
Ayan.
So, the most
Kung
important and
talagang,
patriotic
black voting
contribution
ng,
that you can
Iglesia
do
ni Cristo,
for our fight in the West
kotse
Philippine
na lang
Sea
kunin niya
are
para
elect
manalo mga
members
suki,
of the
no?
legislative branch
Okay.
will be supporting
Okay,
our
boto na
government in not surrendering
Okay lang
a
na
square
siya
inch
sa-
of our territory. Thank you.
Okay, sa
Ano na, Mr.
Parking
senador ng bayan,
premise
no?
is our right is our
Magkaroon ng
right.
upuan po
So
dyan
ang sabi
sa-
nga ni Jay, no,
Senado. So, konti lang
ang
kunin niya.
uniting
Kung talagang
factor ng
boto ng,
Filipinos
Iglesia
ngayon
na
is the usapin
Cristo
ng
ay
West
totoo na
Philippine Sea. And
black
with that,
voting,
no,
ayan
as
po,
we
ay.
shift from the AFP, from the
Malakas.
internal security
Malakas
operations
po,
to
malakas.
territorial defense,
Ayan
ito
na.
na yung nagiging focus
So,
natin.
yan.
When we say territorial defense,
Attorney
it's not an
Rodante
outside entity
Marcoleta,
coming in,
number
but we're looking at the Trojan horse
38.
inside and trying to look
Okay,
at
itong si
kung ano
Ariel
yung
Turbin,
mga different
52.
factors
Okay,
that
yung iba sana
contribute to
magbigay ng listahan na, no? Okay, ang susunod, ganon din. Okay, superstar ng mga suki. Okay, dating senador Gringo
grand
Nasan.
plan, no?
Okay,
Kung
alam
ano
naman
lahat ito.
natin, no?
And as the election
Kung sino
season
si
comes in,
Gringo Nasan.
no? Ito
Ayan.
may malaking
So,
usapin dyan is our
tuloy-tuloy
barn
ito.
elections, which is a
Okay,
historical feat
sa
for the
kanya ito ay
Philippines.
yung mga-
And we're looking at
Okay,
any
yung mga
influence that
kakampi niya
will
sa ground,
that will ano no
ay yan po
hamper
ang malakas
the
kay Gringo
peaceful
Nasan, no?
conduct of this.
Kasi dati
So
dati may
kasama
tawag.
lahat yan sa lahat ng
Madali-
tinututukan
madali
natin.
po
And with this,
ay tulungan,
bawat
madali
mamamayang
po ay
Pilipino,
makakuha
parte
ng
tayo
boto,
dyan
no?
as we exercise
Kasi
our
dati
constitutional
may
right
okay,
to have
may
our
tao
voice
po
be
sa
heard and
ground.
have a stake on who will be leading us
Okay, yung
into
mga
our
organization
future,
nila.
no? Ito
Okay,
lahat, we do
kaya
not
nga,
lose focus on the bigger
ay,
challenge and
ako
the
hanggang
bigger
ngayon, hindi ko
picture
maniwala
out there.
yung sino
Kung ano
sinasabi
man
ko
itong
na-
mga nangyayari internally,
Okay, Pangulong Marcos
let's look at
Jr.
how
na.
it is connected
Wala ako
to
kapaniwala
the influences that you have
Hindi
with
po
the bigger
maging,
challenges we have. And as one
Lord,
Filipino nation,
Pustahan
no,
po,
kung
mga
ano man
sige,
yan,
no?
pinupush
May
natin
pustahan
na for the rest of
Okay.
this, ano natin, no, mga kababayan natin na
yan
mahihis ng landas to
hindi
come
ko
to
po ang
back
number
to the
ni,
folds of the law
si
and
Bato,
together
nakalimutan
we
ko
fight the
number
bigger
niya.
challenge, which
Pero
is
banggitin ko na
territorial
lang.
defense.
Okay,
And so,
ito si Bato
ang
de la
laging
Rosa.
binabanggit ng AFP po dyan
Okay,
is, ito po ang ating
Palaban.
karagatan, ito ang
Okay, sa
ating
mga
karapatan,
kampanya
at ito ang
niya.
ating kinabukasan.
Okay,
This is our
magdepensa
seas,
po.
our rights, and
Okay,
our
bumili
future.
ng
So,
suka.
alamin natin ito,
And then
atin
nakakuha
itong
ng
ipaglaban,
certificate of
at atin
candidacy.
itong suportahan.
And then,
Yusek Malay?
politiko ng
actually,
mga suki, no?
Pariya lang for senator.
Okay, bumili lang
Matagal ko na
ganun.
itong sinasabi.
Bumili lang ng,
And medyo disappointed ako
ng,
nung dumaan yung filing ng
ketchup,
candidacy. Hindi
bumili
nag-file ang
ng,
ating senador. So,
soy
pagpasensya
sauce.
na natin hanggang Coast Guard na lang
balik
siya.
kay media na po ang mga suki, mga
Ah,
kabayan.
For now,
Ganun
for
ang,
now, for now.
kantsawan po ng mga
una-una,
kantsawan po
just
sa amin.
very short lang naman
Sa
to.
mga
I just
media,
want to
no?
thank the Filipino
Pagbili lang ng
people for
suka,
the overwhelming support.
pagbili ng,
84%
soy sauce,
of the public in the latest
Kinamoto,
Octus
pagbalik kay
survey
media na po mga
show
suki,
that
no?
84% of the
Okay.
Filipino people
Ano ba, may
support the
lahat
Philippine
tayo may
government's
angkin
position
tayo
in
ng mga
asserting our
suki,
rights
no?
in the West Philippine
Okay,
Sea.
may
And
angkin tayo
as you
kahit
mentioned,
paano,
bakit hindi 100%?
iba-ibang
It's because
talent
we're not a authoritarian state. We're not we are democracy. And 84% sa ibang bansa, napakalaki na niyan. You know, sila, meron lang silang 55%,
Okay.
56, tuwan-tuwa na sila. that's
Bato
already
de
a
la
vast
Rosa, tapos
majority.
na, no?
But us to have
Okay, ano bang
84%
number ni Bato?
in one of the largest countries in the world,
Kailangan ko
no?
makuha yun lahat.
With a large population, to
habang
have that kind of
pasok po ang
critical
kampanya.
mass supporting government
Ayan.
is a really big thing, and
So, yan.
that
Maglalaro
is
po
because
yan na
of people like you,
okay,
Richard, no,
kung
and my colleagues here in
Ocho,
government
yes.
who continue to fight the good fight for God and
Siete.
country. Maraming salamat.
kaya 9. Yan
Thank
po
you very much.
maglalaro si Bato de la Rosa, no? Pero dapat mataas-taas pa para talagang safe na safe. Okay, itong si Bato de la Rosa, no? Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Ito ba ang kasunod ay maglalaro po kung hindi 2, 3. Yan lang po ang laro niya sa kasalukuyan, no? 2, 3. Itong Malasakit Center.
Choose your flavor.
Okay, kung may sunog, pinupuntahan ngayon niya.
Make
Kung may
flavorful
patay,
choices with
pinupuntahan niya.
10.
Ayan po si Bongo, Senator Bongo, no? Okay, ganun din. Naglaro po pag hindi 2, 3. Kala ko ay siya ng number 1. Di pa natin alam pa, mahaba pang kampanya mga suki, no? Dito sa national. Hindi po masiguro yan. Okay,
This is something that we can all look forward to.
laro ng politika masuki.
So,
Sa
what
kakamaniguro,
we're going to do is we're going to
okay, and
address
then
some of the
araw
issues
ng
that
election,
have been
nakapasok ba yung
coming
mga
up,
boto mo? And then
on the
pagbilang
part of the
ay
National Task Force West Philippines
talagang
and the
sa iyo
National
ang
Security
boto mga
Council.
suki, no?
And I'm going to take
Ganun
this
ang
opportunity
mag-election.
to address
Habang hindi
some
pa
of those
mag-election,
concerns.
lahat po
Let me
may
begin
chance.
by
Depende na po
statements
sa
coming from Beijing
kanyang strategies.
regarding the
Okay, pagkampanya
continued
mga suki, no? Sa
criticism
political strategies.
of the Philippine decision
Ganun po.
to keep
Okay, ang
US
susunod,
Typhoon
itong
missiles-
Supernova.
Typhoon, missile
Okay,
system
itong
here.
si Jaime Marcos,
And,
no?
the
Okay.
Foreign Ministry in
Ayan.
Beijing was quoted as saying
So,
that it could
okay,
spark
magsikap
a
talaga,
race
okay,
in the
para
Philippines,
makapasok
in the
po ulit sa
Asia-Pacific
Senado,
area.
no? Talagang
And there was
magsipag,
also this statement
magsipag
coming from
po
Beijing that the
para
Philippines,
makakuha ng maraming
and I
boto, no?
quote,
Yan po ang
has
tatak
pledged
na
that the
Jaime
deployment
Marcos,
was
no?
temporary
Pero sanay
and that
na,
the
kasi
system
naging
would
mga
be shipped
politiko
out
na, naging mga
after
gobernador
relevant
na,
military exercises.
naging
However, the
senador
Philippines
na.
has breached
Kaya alam na
such
nila ang
commitments.
technique. Okay,
So,
sa tagal nila sa
allow us
politika
to
itong
respond to
Marcos
that
sa
by
mga
saying
suki, no?
that the
kaya
Philippines
nila
has the
maglaro
sovereign
yan.
and inherent
Ayan.
right to upgrade
Okay,
its
so
defense
yan po Supernova
capabilities
natin.
in
Okay,
opportunities
si
which
Jaime
it
Marcos.
deems appropriate.
Wala pa rin ako number, no?
It is in
Ayan.
the same spirit
Sige.
that we have not commented
Okay, itong si
on
Bam
Chinese
Aquino,
missiles
itong mga
Because we
okay,
also believe
dilawan,
that,
no?
the
Grupo
PRC
ng
as a
dilawan
sovereign
eh,
state has
malakas
also
po ang
this,
kanilang hila sa tao,
opportunity
no?
or
Lalo na po si
responsibility
former
to also
Vice
improve their
President
defense
ni
capabilities.
Robredo. Okay,
I am
tumutulong
referring
sa
of
kanya.
course to
Okay,
instances
talagang
when the PRC
hihila
has
yan ng
conducted
boto,
what
no?
it- at
Yung
what
mga
it calls as
endorsement
routine
lang.
military training
Okay,
wherein
ni
it
Len
deployed
Robredo,
or
hila talaga ng boto yan.
tested
100% hila ng boto,
like
no?
the DF-17,
Okay, pasok rin ito.
the DF-21,
Okay, pasok
and the
rin dito sa
DF-41.
Senado mga suki,
And
no?
the
Kasi
DF-41
may
has
tauhan na sila
a
dati.
range of 15,000 kilometers,
Okay, Bam
which can
Aquino,
reach
Senator Bam
beyond the
Aquino, no?
Philippines and into the Pacific
Ayan.
Ocean.
Sino pang
Every specific
papasok dyan?
instance that the
Okay,
PRC
papasok din ito.
has conducted
Dahil masipag,
these tests,
okay, mag-ikot
we
ng
never, they never heard
okay,
from us. We never criticized.
ano ba ito?
We
Maisog.
never commented even
Okay.
on
Maisog mga suki
their
mga kababayan,
continued
no?
improvement of
Okay.
their offensive capabilities.
Ayan,
So we
Attorney
feel
Vic Rodriguez,
that
no?
it is deceptive
Okay.
on the part of the
Maisog
People's
siya.
Republic of China
Attorney
to comment
Rodriguez,
on
Vic
our
Rodriguez,
right
kasi
to
lang
improve
po
our
sa
defense capabilities
sa
and
palasyo,
position while
and then
they
tinadyakan po
continue
palabas
to
ng
improve
palasyo, no?
their offensive
Okay, si
capabilities.
Vic Rodriguez.
Again,
Ano
let
yan?
me reiterate what
Babawi
we have
yan.
been saying.
Babawi po na
The Typhoon
okay,
missile
pagkuha po
system
ng
is
mga
deployed
boto.
only
Okay,
for
yung mga galit,
defense capabilities and
okay, sa
will
mga
only be used in that manner.
na
It is part
nabudol,
of the defense
okay, ni,
modernization efforts which
President
the
at saka itong si
PRC
First Lady.
is also doing.
Okay, gaganti
Okay,
yan.
so there's nothing
Okay,
irregular about
i-build up
this.
nila.
And we'd
Okay,
also like
meron
to
silang tao pumasok
clearly state
itong ano.
that the Philippines
Hakbang maisog na.
adheres to the
Siya ay
provisions of the
hakbang maisog.
Philippine Constitution
Ayan.
that
Okay,
we
yan
can
po
either
ang
employ the use of nuclear weapons
mga kandidato
or
po sa
engage
midterm
in
natin, no?
offensive war.
Okay.
Because the Philippines, as you all know,
Dapat
in its
talaga
constitution,
has this provision
sikap
that
masipag
will announce war
kung
as an
saan-saan
instrument
dapat
of
makarating.
national policy.
Katulad po ginagawa ni
Now, on the issue of
ni
the Philippines reneging on
Ariel
commitments,
Kerubin na ngayon, no? Okay, panay
alleged
photo
commitments,
bombs, panay
the
ang
Philippines never promised
magaling ang
the
photo bombs
People's
na
Republic of
photo
China
bombers niya,
that
no?
they will draw
Okay, sa kanyang
Typhoon
page. Ganon.
missile system
Okay, pagkampanya po sa social media,
from the
no?
Philippines.
Kabilis kasi.
We
Ang
never
social
made
media,
any commitment
social
to the
media,
PRC in this regard.
kahit
You
sa
can
kubeta kay
review.
makuha
The
mo
members of
na
the media can review
ay
any of the statements
pag mag-share ka ng
coming from
yung
the Philippine authorities
campaign
to China.
materials, no? Yun ang
Okay,
advantage
and
po
you will
ng
never
social
find
media.
any instance
Okay,
that
kahit
I
saan,
have
sa
spoken
sakyan,
or,
sa
Secretary
bahay,
Tito or Secretary
sa
Anya
opisina,
has spoken, or even
ay,
the
anywhere.
Secretary of Foreign Affairs
basta
has
marunong
said
ka sa social
that
media, no?
we made a commitment to the
Okay,
PRC
talagang
to withdraw those Typhoon
kuha
missile
ang
systems.
pangalan. Lalo na pa pa
What
sa
the
Senator, no?
Philippines did
Kasi
and said
nationwide ang coverage
through
mo ng
President
Senator.
Bongbong Marcos
Kaya kailangan
is that
po malakas
if,
ang social media, no? Social
the
media
People's
campaign.
Republic of China
Kasi mahal
will
po ang
stop its
campaign po
illegal,
sa mga
coercive,
radio.
aggressive and deceptive
Okay,
actions
mahal
in
po
the
campaign
West
na
Philippine Sea,
sa mga
then
television,
he offered PRC a
kung
deal
wala kang extra
that
pondo,
the President will
okay,
then remove the Typhoon missile
patay
systems
ka
immediately
sa
from Philippine soil.
bayad po sa
But when
advertisement, no?
the
Okay,
People's
kawawa
Republic
ka.
of China was
Kaya ang
asked
gawin mo
about
para
this, there
makuha
was
ka ng maraming
virtually
boto.
no response. And you can
Okay.
look at the transcripts
Ay, ang,
coming
social
from the
media
press
campaign,
conferences
no?
in Beijing.
Ayan.
This question was
So,
asked
by
point blank,
30 sekunder,
and the reply was
okay,
not responsive. So we had
o
no
60 sekunder, talagang
response
mahal mga
whatsoever.
super, no? Million.
Let me move
Gagastusin
on
mo sa mga
to the
television
issue
mga
of
super, no? Kaya,
the
diyan kailangan marami
West
kang pera.
Philippine Sea being a figment of
Ayan.
imagination.
So,
Let me just
yan po
state
ang
again for the record,
sa kay Bam
without
Aquino na, no?
referring
At saka
to any
Vic Rodriguez
individual,
tapos na.
Republic
The last
Act
but the least,
12064,
okay, babae po mga
or the
suki, no?
Philippine Maritime
Naalala niyo yung
Act
pangalan na Heidi
clearly
Mendoza?
defines what the
Maraming
West Philippine
sinasabi
Sea is.
noon.
And let
Ayan
me
po,
quote,
yan ang Heidi
the maritime
Mendoza.
zones of the
Okay,
Philippines on the
tumakbo
western
po
side of the
pagka-senador.
archipelago,
Okay.
including the Luzon Sea and the territorial seas of
Senadora.
the Masinloc,
Okay,
and the
so,
maritime features of the
okay, pag tulungan
Kalayaan
natin
Island
ay
Group shall collectively be
makaupo
known
po
as
sa
the West
Senado,
Philippine Sea.
okay, para
End of quote. So if you will
tulong
look at the
po
law,
pag
RA
bilang ng
12064,
ma-figure
the maritime
disbursement po, mga
seas
pondo,
that are being referred
okay,
to
galing
are
po sa butcher mga
the
suki mga
archipelagic
kabayan, no? Kasi
waters
record na
of the
lang.
Philippines, which
Okay, pag
includes,
sa
which is
labit na
the
sa
waters
COA, ang
inside the
disbursement,
archipelagic baselines.
Butcher
Number
ay
two, the internal
figure
waters
lang
of the
makita mo.
Philippines.
Ang pera
Number
wala
three,
na.
the territorial
Okay.
sea of
Di
the
mo na alam
Philippines.
kung
Number four, the
after
contiguous zone.
ingkas sa
Number
bangko ang
five, the
cheque,
exclusive economic
okay,
zone.
di mo na alam
And
kung
number six, the
saan na mapunta
continental
ang pera,
shelf
no?
and the extended continental
So,
shelf of
ang
the
makita mo lang
Philippines. They
butcher,
are all
approve
the word
ng mga
the utilization of the
official
word
po
West
ng
Philippine
pamahalaan.
Sea is
Okay.
based on law.
So yan,
Because
yan
there
po
are
ang
still
role po
some
ni Heidi
bloggers
Mendoza, no?
and commentators
Ayan.
who are saying
So tapos ng
that the
national,
utilization of the
and
word
then
West
mamaya
Philippine
babalik ako
Sea
sa
is because
local
of
mga suki, no?
President Noynoy
Okay,
Aquino's
tapusin po
Admin
natin
Order
itong,
29 into
Hiwalayan
2012.
Blue.
Luma na po yun. That is
Hiwalayan
an old
Blue.
reference. As
Okay, nang
everyone
makasawa
knows,
ito,
when we
walang
utilize
kakwenta-kwenta mga
the
suki,
word
no?
West Philippine
Ayan.
Sea, it
The
is no
pain of
longer on
losing
the
a
basis
child,
of a
of thinking
administrative
about what
order
could have
of a former
been,
president.
is something that
It
sticks
is
with
now
you. For
enshrined
Michelle and
in our
Barack,
laws, in
the heartbreak
particular,
of multiple
the
miscarriages
Philippine
was a
Maritime
test of their
Zones Act.
strength, both individually and as a couple. But as with all the challenges they faced, they supported each other through the darkest times. Barack, the loving and empathetic husband, was a rock by her side, always providing comfort and reassurance. Still, as Michelle pointed out, there were times when even his comforting words couldn't take away the deep sadness she carried. I couldn't help but wonder if I was meant to be a mother, Michelle confessed, the raw vulnerability in her voice clear for everyone to hear. She admitted that it took her time to come to terms with her body's inability to carry a pregnancy to term. But as Michelle always does, she turned her personal pain into strength. And it was then that she decided to take control of her destiny. After several years of trying and multiple heartbreaks, Michelle and Barack decided to explore in vitro fertilization. This decision marked the beginning of a new chapter in their journey to parenthood, one that would eventually bring them the daughters they had longed for. IVF was an emotional and challenging process, one that many couples
Kung ganyan ang boses ko mga suki, dahil sikat ako, ang galing ng boses
I
mga
am making
suki,
this
no?
statement because
talagang
read in the Global Times.
modulate
I also read
ang boses kanya.
from third-party
Kano ba yan?
groups here in the Philippines
Endure in
who are
silence. For Michelle,
saying that
it was a leap of
we
faith,
are growing
an opportunity to
anti-China
finally hold a
rhetoric,
child of her own in her
based
arms.
this
I remember
accusations
when I found out I
of
was
Chinese
pregnant with
spies,
Malia, Michelle
which
recalled in
allegedly
another interview.
fuels
It
hostility.
was surreal, a moment I will never forget.
That is
The
the
joy.
farthest from the
Ito mga
truth.
kapital po ng
There is no
PR, no?
anti-China
Public
rhetoric
relation
that is being
expert.
propagated.
Kaya
We just happen to
Kagalingan
have
po
the
ng
evidence to
boses.
pin down
Ang tawag dito
several
ay
Chinese
video content
nationals
mga suki,
who
no?
have been arrested by Philippine
Magkano
law
kaya
enforcement
ang
authorities in
singil
the act
niya?
of espionage. Cases have
Okay,
been
sige
filed
po,
in court.
mapakinggan natin,
These
no?
are legitimate
Itong kaso
counterintelligence
ng
operations.
pagkahiwalay.
These
Paghiwalay.
accused individuals of
Paghiwalay.
espionage
I felt was
were caught in the
overwhelming,
act. They were
but there was
caught
also a
red-handed.
part of me that still couldn't
Espionage
believe that it
equipment
actually
were
happened.
confiscated
After years of longing,
by law
Michelle and
enforcement
Barack were
authorities.
finally going to become parents,
The NBI
and it was a triumph over the
has secured the
emotional
necessary
scars
warrants to
left by the
conduct forensic
miscarriages.
investigation,
The Obamas'
and we
first
already
daughter,
have
Malia,
a
was born
wealth
on July
of
4th,
evidence to
1998.
pin them
She
down.
was the miracle that the couple had been waiting
And,
for, the
as
light
per
at the end
request
of a
of the
long
Chinese
and painful
embassy,
tunnel.
we have
Malia's
allowed
arrival brought
consular
immense
visits
joy
these
to their
individuals
lives and helped
because there
heal
were
the
allegations
emotional
that
wounds
we are
left
not
by the
allowing
years of
consular
struggle.
visits.
In the
Once the
years
Chinese
following
embassy
Malia's
sent a
birth,
formal
Michelle
request
and Barack felt
for
a sense of
consular
relief,
visits,
an overwhelming
they were
gratitude
granted
for the
in
gift of a
accordance
healthy
with the
child. However, the
consular
journey didn't
practice
end
and the
there.
MOU
The Obamas
that
had
the
always
Philippines
talked about
have with
wanting
China
more than one
with
child.
regards to
And
consular
after
visits
Malia, they decided to try
of,
for a second.
the Chinese
The
embassy
emotional toll of
to
previous losses
Chinese
weighed
nationals
heavily on
that
them,
are
but Michelle's
engaged in
determination to
criminal
build
acts
their
and have been
family was
arrested by the
unwavering.
Philippine government.
After undergoing another
So
round of
those are
IVF,
our
Michelle became pregnant
pointer,
with their second
several
daughter, Sasha,
issues
who was born
that
on
we feel
June
that the
10,
National Task Force West
2001.
Philippine Sea
Sasha's
should
arrival
address.
completed
Okay,
their
now,
family,
uh,
bringing even more
turn over
joy
to
and
Admiral
love into their
Nathan.
home. Today, Malia and Sasha are thriving young women,
Yes, thank
each
you.
with
Just
their
an
own
update
unique
on
personalities and
involved in
passions. Malia,
position,
now an
we have
adult,
had already
is a
3
graduate of Harvard University
maritime
and has followed her own
activities,
path of activism
1
and service,
bilateral and
while
2
Sasha is
multilateral.
carving out her own identity.
The first one
The
was
Obamas
last month.
have always been fiercely
This month we have
protective
had
of their
2
daughters,
February
wanting to
7
give them a sense of
registration
normalcy
with
despite
Canada.
their very public
I'll
lives.
be able to
But
expand
Michelle
more
has never
on other
hesitated to
matters
share the story
the
of their
West
journey to
Philippine Sea Union
parenthood,
answer.
using her voice to raise awareness about the challenges many couples face when it
Next
comes
will
to
be,
infertility and
let's
loss.
have Philippine Coast
In
Guard
addition to the
spokesperson on
personal
West
struggles
Philippines,
within their
Commodore
marriage, the
Secretary
Obamas were forced to confront a series of external challenges, none more shocking than a bizarre conspiracy theory about Michelle Obama that will leave you speechless.
Last night, wherein I highlighted the Philippine Coast Guard BRP Capra was successful.
Okay.
Drive away China Coast Guard 3103.
Sige
And
po.
right now, BRP Capra remains to shadow China Coast Guard 3103 at a distance of 98 nautical miles. off
Michelle
the coast
Obama
of
is a
Palawan,
transgender.
Zambales. With regard to the vessels
One of the
that we
most
are
bizarre and
monitoring
disturbing
in,
external
Bajo de
challenges the Obamas
there
faced
remains
was the rise
4
of an
China Coast
outlandish
Guard
conspiracy theory
vessels.
targeting
Of course,
Michelle Obama.
5901
The
for
theory,
Coast
which
Guard
claimed that
sponsorship.
Michelle Obama
It
was
now
not
has a distance of
biologically female,
164
gained
nautical
traction in
miles
certain corners
off
of the
the coast
internet
of
and
Capra
among some
Island,
public
Bicol.
figures, casting
And,
an ugly shadow
based
over
on
her
the
image.
track of the China
At the
Coast
center
Guard,
of this
it's,
conspiracy was a
moving
video
southward.
shared widely
So
by the
there is a
controversial
possibility
media
that it will
personality
already,
Alex Jones,
depart
known for his
the
far-right
West Philippine Sea area
conspiracy-driven
of our
content.
country.
In one of
And
his
then the next
infamous
one is
segments,
China Coast Guard
Jones and his followers
5303.
peddled the idea that Michelle
It remains
Obama
to be,
was, in fact, a
maintaining,
man.
within
The video,
vicinity
which was
of,
a
Bajo de Masinloc,
Okay,
at a distance
kung
of
sa
103
US, kung may
nautical miles
biktima
off
ng
the coast of
mga
Zambales.
rightist
Together with China
group,
Coast Guard 3502
o kaya mga
at a distance
leftist
of
group naman.
146 nautical miles,
Okay,
and China
dalawang
Coast Guard
klase mga sabi, no?
3304 at 109
Kung nasa
nautical
kaliwa ka,
miles
katulad
off the
ng Barack
coast of
Obama,
Zambales. Thank you very much.
okay, Democrats, okay, sisiraan ka ng
Now,
rightists.
Don, each media
Okay,
outlet will
palabas
be
kung
given
ano
one
mga
question
suki.
and one follow-up.
Okay, video
Kindly raise your
content, no?
hands na lang po.
Kaya nga, napakadelikado mga suki. Kaya,
Morning, sir. Patrick from PTV.
sige.
Sa Typhoon missile lang ulit.
initially meant to be an outrageous commentary on the Obamas, used exaggerated rhetoric and selective footage to make its claim. According to Jones, Michelle's posture, physical appearance, and even her mannerisms were proof that she was not born a woman. The conspiracy theorists argued that the First Lady's broad shoulders, height, and strong jawline were signs that she had been born male, despite Michelle herself being a well-known figure with an established history of femininity and grace. This unfounded claim, however, didn't remain confined to a small group of internet users. Alex Jones's platform, which reaches millions of viewers, propelled the conspiracy into the mainstream. His videos, including one titled, "Is Michelle Obama Really a Man?", gained thousands of views, and the bizarre accusations quickly spread across various social media platforms. As with many conspiracy theories, those behind this one relied heavily on visual manipulation and speculation to build their argument. They used selective images of Michelle Obama to suggest that her appearance did not match that of a typical woman, focusing on moments when her outfit or posture could be interpreted in a way that supported their narrative. But the conspiracy didn't stop there. Other figures, including the notorious commentator Jonas Rivers, fueled the fire with inflammatory remarks. Rivers, who is no stranger to controversy, took to social media and in interviews to claim that not only was Barack Obama gay, but Michelle Obama was transgender. In a shocking statement, Rivers referred to the Obamas as the first gay couple, and claimed Michelle's transgender identity was hidden by the media to protect her public image. He argued that Barack Obama's support for LGBTQ rights was a smokescreen for his real personal life, which, according to Rivers, involved secret relationships with men. Rivers' comments stirred up even more debate, drawing both supporters and vehement critics, but ultimately adding,
Okay, kung talagang sirain ka ng mga ganito, yung mga ganito, sira ka talaga. Kahit hindi totoo. Okay, kayang-kaya ka sirain. Ganun po ka-delicate po ng okay, gawa po ng mga ganito, no? Sira ka talaga.
Are they within reach of the Chinese mainland?
Mabuti nga, nandito tayo sa microphone. Okay, kung may mga halimbawa manira, itablahan na lang mga subject. Magsiraan na lang. Ayan.
Depending on the type of missile na nakakarga sa launcher.
Handa magsiraan kung halimbawa kung mga tinitira ganon.
350 nautical miles.
Talagang
approximately.
Do we have longer?
Palaban mga suki, no?
Longer range versions?
Yes,
magpasalamat ito ka nakahawa
it depends on what type of depends on what type of missile is loaded into the launcher.
Grabe.
fuel to the already burning fire of false accusations. One of the most disturbing incidents involved a well-known conservative Twitter personality who shared the Alex Jones video with a caption that implied there was something fishy about Michelle Obama's gender. This tweet quickly gained traction among followers, many of whom began to spread the theory further. Other Republican figures, including a few well-placed influencers, used the same talking points, suggesting that Michelle Obama's identity was somehow suspect, or not what it seemed. These comments, which were often shared by major media outlets with large conservative followings, amplified the conspiracy and gave it a larger platform. Another controversial Republican figure, known for making inflammatory remarks on social media, tweeted out that, "We don't know the truth about Michelle Obama." This tweet quickly went viral, garnering thousands of likes and retweets from conservative followers. These posts and the subsequent spread of
Diyan po ang trabaho ng hindi natin kaya na kuan, no?
Philippines exercise.
Hindi natin kaya mga gawin na ganun. Para masira lang ang mga personahe, and then gawaan mo ng mga ganyan mga suki. Malaking kasalanan, no? Ayan.
There are lots of activities ongoing, not only in the West Philippine Sea, but even in the eastern seaboard of the country.
Ayan, so mag-plugging muna tayo, no?
When we are not a participant to the multilateral cooperative activity or maritime cooperative activity, we are not informed. So other
magbuo ng isang West Philippines Canal.
that statement or that proposal is well taken. It is being considered right now how that will fit into the AFP. As we see it right
Female
now,
voice.
the armed forces has different unified
Male
demands,
voice.
which address not only internal but also
Valley
external defense
voice.
operations.
Monster
But
voice.
however, that
Ship
recommendation
to
will be
major.
duly noted and we will be studying that.
Major. Ship to C major.
Any questions po, ma'am, sir? Hi, sir. Kay Admiral Trinidad. Sir, you promised dati a few weeks ago na ready na kayo i-reveal kung sino yung may-ari ng the drone, the first one. Pwede na
As to the owner or who launched the drone,
Ganun po,
it would take
ka-dangerous
the
ng
forensics
media sa
to be able to
ibayong dagat, no?
know
Lalo
for
sa
sure
US.
who launched the
Ayan.
drone, from where this came from.
Napaka-dangerous.
What we know for
ng
now
aso
is the
ito.
data that has been collecting,
Ayan.
and while we have already
So, ano pa pang plug? Isang buwan na akong masukin, no?
we're
Unahin
awaiting the
muna
results
sa
of the
Buanga.
others to be able to get a complete
Okay,
picture.
ang
And the moment we get
kanon
that,
din,
the appropriate public
ang pagbanggit-banggit
statement
natin
or press release
pangalan.
will be given out.
Okay, wala pagbabago.
Okay. Follow
Okay,
up na
para
lang, sir.
ma-recall lang ang mga kaibigan natin tumatakbo.
ADG Malaya. Sir, yung the
Okay,
promise
sa
that
iba-ibang posisyon,
China
no?
is, I think,
Okay, dito sa Buanga,
referring
sa
to-
District 2.
seems to be,
Okay, ganun din.
to my mind, it seems to be
mga tili po. Okay, ang
statement coming from the Philippine Army that, since they were the ones
kaibigan,
to,
kasama, o kuya,
with the MRC,
pwede natin
that eventually
matawag po, no?
it will be
Okay, kasi
parang
73
brought
years
out of
old.
the country after the
Okay,
exercises
itong
are
si-
finished. So,
Okay, si
to qualify that, that's not a policy, no?
Ibs
That's just
Turabin, no?
a description
Ng
or
District
that's not
2.
government,
Okay, for,
that's
councilor,
government stand, tama.
Okay, dito
Correct.
sa syudad ng
That's
Zamboanga.
correct.
Ibs
Because if you look at the
Turabin, Ibn
statements
Turabin,
coming from
Ibn
Beijing,
Hajar Turabin,
Repeatedly,
pwede
they have
natin
mentioned that we have
maalala
reached
po mga
such
sulat.
commitments.
Maalala
The
lang
word kasi
naman, no?
commitment eh.
Maalala,
So it was made
and
to
then
appear
pagdating
that
sa
the Philippine government made a
Mayo sa
commitment to
midterm,
them. No?
doon lang
Siguro, as you
final
mentioned,
mga
they may be
suki, no?
referring to this
Hindi ko pa lang
statement
pwede
of the
sabihin
Philippine
na
Army,
batuhan
but
kasi
that is just,
wala pang 45 days.
that is not
Ayan.
guidance coming from higher authority.
Yan,
That is simply
pauna
an
banggit-banggit lang, no?
opinion coming from
Okay.
some officials of the
Sa
Philippine
District
Army that
Dos,
speak
dyan po
for
sa
the policies
Sitio
of the
Buena
Philippine
Capok,
government. So,
okay, sa Barangay
it would be
Lanzones,
improper, no?
Zamboanga City, no?
For
District Dos.
Beijing
Okay.
to make a
So,
statement
yan
that there
po.
was a
Okay,
clear
mangahas,
commitment.
ay
Kasi
sumubok.
ang word is pledge.
Okay, para
we have pledged, we have made a commitment.
maging
So it
consular
is made
po
to
ng
appear that
Zamboanga
the
City, no?
Secretary of Foreign
So
Affairs
yan po
or the
ay
Secretary
lagi
of
natin
National Defense
tandaan.
or even the National
Okay, sa
Security
mga District
Advisor
2,
made that promise to
okay,
the
itong
withdraw. So we want to just to
kasama
make
natin
clear that
kaibigan,
we never made any commitments to the People's Republic of China.
memory,
Do you find
memorize.
with
Memorize
that
po ang pangalan ng
mindset
Turabin, no?
and the way they
Mga
perceive
Turabin.
statements coming from
Ayan.
our
Wala
officials
sa ibang
to the previous
plano,
misunderstanding about our promise to
sa publiko mga suki, no?
take out BRP
Okay,
China.
tandaan po.
You see
Okay, ang
something like
kaibigan
parang
natin,
gano'n na similarities
Ibs Turabin,
about
no?
how China
So,
perceives
kailangan daw
statements
niya
coming
ang,
from our officials.
30,000
Would that be
votes
accurate?
to 40,000 votes para
Kasi
maka-assure.
iba rin kasi yung
Okay,
sitwasyon
pasok
doon
siya sa
well, allegedly,
Konseho
previous
ng
administrations
Sanggunian
daw
na
made those
Pangusap ng
commitments. And we
Zamboanga,
do
no?
not exactly know who
Kadali
those
yun, karami
previous
po ng District
administrations
2.
are. Now,
Kung talagang
this is the
tulugan
current
natin
administration. They're referring to the
pagsikapan,
current
mabilis po ang
And
figure yan
wala
ng
namang
30
kaming
votes.
sinasabing
30,000 votes to
whether in
40,000
private
votes,
or in
no?
public.
Talagang seryoso tayo,
We are
okay,
just wondering
na
kung
tulungan
saan
itong tao
nanggaling
itong mga
itong
suki, no?
alleged commitment
Ibs
coming from
Turabin.
the Philippine government.
Okay, Ibs Turabin. Okay, dito sa District 1, okay, itong palaban, no? Okay, medyo matapang ito.
Admiral Trinidad can answer
Okay, medyo matapang itong
there are statements coming from
kandidato
PNP
itong mga
recently
suki.
of talk
itong
about
si Pinpin
acquiring
Pareha.
more missiles. Wala naman tayo
Okay, di
except
po
for the
biro-biro,
BrahMos.
matapang itong leader. Okay,
Yes,
dito sa
first
ating
and foremost, I
syudad ng
would like to
Zamboanga,
say
no?
that Horizon 3
Matapang, no?
is currently at the Department of
Ang
National Defense.
style niya,
It
okay,
covers all
matapang po yung
capabilities,
mga suki, no?
cyber,
Ayan, so
air,
Pinpin Pareha, no,
surface,
ng
and
District 1.
subsurface warfare
Okay,
capabilities.
pagtulong-tulungan natin
This will
maibalik po
include
sa
not only platforms but
kanyang
also weapon systems
political career.
and missile
Pagdating
systems.
ng Mayo,
Right now,
tandaan po si
without
Pinpin
going
Pareha,
into
no?
further details, I
Ayan.
would like to say that
Pinpin
these
Pareha.
are part of the
Ayan.
acquisition programs or plans at the
Babae
Department
po
of
ang
National Defense.
kandidato natin dito sa District 1, no?
Sir Jay,
Ayan.
from
And then, sino pa?
Update lang dun sa
Okay, itong,
presence ng mga Chinese vessels.
Okay,
So, yung research
isang
vessel, wala na siya
abogado.
sa easy natin.
Okay, kung naalala niyo si
Sabi niyo
Putin,
yung
yan
last
na.
briefing niyo, yung
Okay,
isang
Vladimir
vessel na
Putin.
doon,
Pag maalala niyo yun,
ganun ba yung nangyari,
ang
sir?
kaibahan ng
Around,
Jimenez.
PDM.
Vladimir Jimenez, okay, ng District 1 for Consular. Okay,
Regarding
ang madali
dun
para
sa
madali pa maalaala,
official research vessel,
Vlad Jimenez,
sabi
no?
ko 2 days ago,
BLAD,
it already
Vlad
got
Jimenez. So, abogado
So we
yan.
already provided
Hindi
an
po
update.
tayo mahiya ilagay sa
Regarding naman sa China
Konseho,
Coast Guard
Sanggulang
monster ship
Panglunsod.
right now,
Kasi by
what
profession,
we're monitoring is that
lisensyado,
5901
abogado
is
masukin, no?
moving southward.
Ayan,
So
abogado
there's a
talaga.
possibility na pumunta ito in
Ah,
other
Vlad
exclusive
Jimenez.
economic zone.
Okay, continue natin ang programa and then punta ko sa Rangani
It's
and then
because
punta
this
lang
our
sa
first
Basilan
time to
last
see,
na mga suki, no?
China Coast Guard
Okay,
monster
continue
ship,
lang.
not just
This information
loitering
became
with
part of a wider narrative that sought to delegitimize Michelle Obama, not just as a political figure, but as a woman, a mother, and a human being. As if these claims weren't disturbing enough, a series of doctored photos started circulating online.
Don't let dark spots make you look older like a 50-year-old aunt. Use the #1 melasma cream from Korea, trusted by many. This product contains powerful antioxidants from Korean ginseng, allowing deep absorption to restore and fade dark spots and freckles. With a blend of macadamia oil and collagen, it provides excellent hydration while nourishing and brightening the skin for a youthful glow. It's on sale for just a
Further perpetuating the conspiracy. These photos were altered to exaggerate Michelle Obama's physical features in a way that made her appear more masculine. In some, her waistline was widened, and in others, her face was distorted, turning her features into something unrecognizable. These images were then shared widely on social media, further amplifying the false narrative. Memes, fake news stories, and edited pictures began to flood the internet, each with a message that cast doubt on Michelle's identity. Despite the obvious alterations, many individuals, particularly those with pre-existing political animosities towards the Obamas, latched onto these images as proof of the conspiracy. The spread of such misinformation was a clear attempt to undermine Michelle Obama's credibility and dignity. The idea that she was somehow not a woman was a deliberate attack on her identity, one that was rooted in the ugly realm of misogyny and hate. It wasn't just a political attack, it was an attempt to strip her of
vessels from
Magaling po ang narrative itong
magiging
ano, no?
strenuous
Okay, itong
sa ating pong crew and in the vessel itself.
mag-release ng
At update lang po sa mga plano ng Coast Guard at ng gobyerno
Barack Obama
to procure additional assets.
Ayan, so punta ko muna sa Sarangani.
Yes, isa talaga yan sa mga
Okay, para matapos trabaho natin.
modernization
Ayan
of
po.
both the armed forces of the
Okay,
Philippines
ang
and the Philippine Coast Guard. As mentioned
aking
by,
kandidato po
Admiral
sa
Trinidad,
Lone
really
District
the
ng
effort is to
Sarangani, no?
Re-horizon.
Lone District ng Sarangani.
Bago kasi yung mga
Okay,
ano
itong
natin,
si
yung mga pangangailangan natin.
pamilya ito ng mga politiko
moving
ng
forward,
matagal na
given
panahon, no?
the
Okay, dyan sa Sarangani.
need to implement
si
the comprehensive
Steve
archipelagic
Song
defense
Bian
concept.
Solon,
So,
no?
meron ng
Solon.
effort doon and
Steve
there will be procurements
Song
moving
Bian
forward.
Solon.
The Coast Guard is
Okay,
also
kwan
a
yan.
major priority as
Okay,
we all know.
pagka
And si
House of Representatives
Commodore
sa Kamara,
Jay will
ayan
share
po
to
ang
us
takbo
the
niya,
plans
no?
of the Philippine government.
Okay,
But in terms of
Congressman
amendments to the laws,
ng Sarangani to, ng Lone District.
under the General
Okay,
Appropriations
mga
Act,
sarangan.
fully supported naman
Okay.
ang Philippine Coast Guard. And then we also passed
Kahit
the
na hindi
Self-Reliant
ata ako
Defense
i-explain ko sa
Posture
inyo.
Act.
Okay, kilala
I give the
niyo
floor
ang,
to Mama Jay.
ang leader niyo. Okay,
First
si
of all,
Steve
let
Song
me
Bian Solon,
first
no? Okay,
correct
so,
the context. Kung yung tanong na may
tandaan na
seryoso
lang
effort
pagdating
ba
sa
ang
Mayo,
national government for us to
midterm
address
election,
our capability
ay
gaps.
ibalik niyo uli sa
Of course, the national
Kamara
government
para
is very
tuloy-tuloy lang ang
serious
serbisyo.
in addressing this concern.
Magandang
As
serbisyo
a
po
matter
dyan
of
sa
fact, for the
Sarangan,
Philippine Coast Guard,
Sarangani,
as I said last
okay,
year,
Lone District,
the President Bongbong Marcos has already approved
ang
the acquisition of 5 more
participation niyo, boto po.
97-meter vessels for the
Kailangan
Philippine
niya,
Coast Guard from
okay,
the
para may
Japanese
balik po sa
Kamara.
Kamara.
From Japan.
So, tandaan,
And then of course the 40
Song Bian
vessels
Solon, no?
that will
Okay,
be
tuloy-tuloy
coming from
tayo
France.
sa Jensen
20
na
of those will be built
ang,
in France and 20 of those
RCRR
will be built here in the Philippines.
ay
At the
okay,
same
Ronald
time,
Chua
as
Rivera
we
Party
decide the acquisition of
Incorporated
vessels,
ay
we're
lokal.
also considering how we can
Okay,
be able to transfer technology.
ang kanyang
Ito yung
kandidato,
huling, agreement natin
okay,
with the French
tinutulungan sa
government.
kanyang
That's
partido.
why out of those
Okay,
40,
itong, si
20
Inday.
ang dadalhin dito sa gagawin dito sa Pilipinas
Sherlyn
to
Banyas,
make
no?
sure that there will be a
Okay,
transfer of
si Inday
technology
Sherlyn
and we can
Banyas.
also support
Okay,
the
yan po
local
ang dala ng
shipbuilding for
pangalan
them
niya.
to at least
Okay, sa
know the
kanyang,
technical know-how in building Coast Guard vessels. The
official
Australian
postscript.
government is also
Okay, Sherlyn Banyas, no?
supporting the acquisition
Ayan.
of Coast Guard vessels.
Para
So we can see how
sa
serious
Lone
the
District po
government
ng,
is through the leadership of President Bongbong Marcos,
Congress,
the Senate,
okay,
and the
House of
Congress.
Representatives,
They're also supporting the
okay,
modernization of the
Inday,
Coast Guard. Last
Sherlyn
year,
Banyas,
there
no?
was an attempt
Okay.
to pass
So,
the
sino
Coast
po sa
Guard
baba niya?
modernization bill.
Okay,
However,
ang
the 19th Congress was not
tinatawag
able
po
to
ng mga
deliver
taga-generals.
the enactment of that law.
Okay, itong si
But we are hoping and praying
Nanay
that
Lita, no?
for this
Nanay
coming
Lita
Congress,
Nunez.
they're also going to prioritize the Coast Guard
Okay, for
modernization
mayor
act
yan.
as well. Thank you.
Para sa Mayora.
Yan.
Okay, ng siyudad ng...
follow-up parts ng West
okay,
Philippines.
General
Sir, ano po
Santos,
nakikita
no?
natin dahilan, sir, ba't
Ayan.
umalis po siya doon?
Tandaan lang po, no?
That's a very
Nanay
tough question.
Lita
I
Nunez.
cannot
Lita
really
Nunez,
understand
no?
why it
Ayan.
departed, whether it will go
Okay,
to
hindi na kayo mahirapan
the
kasi
exclusive
kilala naman
economic
yan.
zone of
Okay,
Malaysia,
ang mag-save
Indonesia,
lang
or
po
go
natin sa
around Vietnam.
Mayo election
So
mga
we still don't know.
sa midterm. Okay,
But we
mag-save
can also
lang.
suspect that
Ayan.
China Coast Guard Fight
And then sino ang kapartner niya?
the past
Okay,
voyage
kapartner niya,
tracks
ang
ng mga
Vice
nakaraan
Mayor.
Ang
Okay,
ginagawa
si
niya, the
attorney
moment na mag-stay siya,
Ed
for example,
Jumang.
just like what they did last
Okay.
year, it stayed
At
in
tapos na atang
Lubunso
pagka konsel niya.
almost 10
And
to
then
15
magpo-promote
days,
po
and
sa
then
Vice
eventually
Mayor.
went around,
Dating barangay
went down to
chairman.
Laguna, and then
Okay,
went
ng
back to
isang barangay
Paracel,
yan sa General
and then went
Santos,
back
no?
to China.
Okay, Ed
So there's a
Jumang.
possibility that
Ayan,
after
Vice Mayor.
staying for
Okay,
long
tandaan lang, no?
in Baco
At saka itong mga
area off the coast of
mga
Zambales,
consular.
it will just do the
Ang
usual
naalala ko lang
rotation,
dito.
passing through the
Okay, itong
exclusive
si,
economic zone of Malaysia, Indonesia,
Ma'am
and
Jane
then go
Rivera.
back to
At
Vietnam,
saka
and then
itong
eventually
si
went back to the
Ban
Chinese
Conson.
harbor.
And then itong
Let me also give an update dun sa tanong kanina as to the
Pastor
distance of
Pastor
the fishery
Blando,
research
no?
vessel.
Ayan.
Right now, the Chinese fishery research
hindi
vessel
hindi na kaya basahin pa
121
isa-isa,
at
basta
10:00 this
lahat na.
morning. Yeah.
Okay.
We have monitored it using the dark
Or
vessel
for
detection
one,
at a distance
okay,
of
yung mga sa
32.5
baba na po,
nautical
mga
miles
kagawan,
from Gongliao district.
Sama-samahin na lang
So it's
para
already in
buong
Taiwan
bukway
maritime zone.
ang party to na maging maging official po ng siyudad ng General Santos, no?
How many Chinese
Okay. Tapos na po ang General Santos.
what are the
And then
charges
punta na po sa Basilan, no?
What
Okay,
were
pero
they
huwag muna.
accused of
Okay, ito muna.
Conducted a press conference together with
Okay, overtime na po. Sige, continue lang.
her personhood and reduce her to nothing more than a pawn in a conspiracy game. The videos, images, and comments were part of a calculated campaign designed to confuse, discredit, and belittle. In the face of these unfounded and damaging conspiracy theories, Michelle Obama, as she always does, remained calm and dignified. Though she addressed the rumors in public speeches and interviews, she did not let the madness of the conspiracy derail her focus on her work and her family. In her memoir, Becoming, Michelle reflected on the constant barrage of attacks she endured, acknowledging the pain they caused while also emphasizing her commitment to staying true to herself. "I'm a woman who loves being a woman, who loves her family, and who loves being a role model for young girls," she said in one of her public remarks. "And nothing, not even the most ridiculous conspiracy theories, will take that away from me." Michelle Obama continues to inspire millions, and we are reminded that no matter how loud the voices of hate and misinformation may be, the truth will always prevail. The challenges for the Obamas seemed endless. While battling the harmful conspiracy theory, another bombshell surfaced, an affair involving Barack Obama that threatened to shake their marriage to its core.
information related to that question.
Affair of Barack Obama. There's been a great deal of speculation about Barack Obama's personal life, particularly surrounding rumors of an affair with actress Jennifer Aniston. While both Obama and Aniston have consistently denied these claims, the persistent rumors have stirred significant media attention, adding to the complex web of challenges that the Obamas faced during their time in the public eye. The rumors about Barack Obama's alleged affair with Jennifer Aniston began circulating in the media during the early years of Obama's presidency. In 2009, tabloids and gossip sites began publishing reports that linked the two stars, claiming they were involved in a secret romantic relationship. These rumors were fueled by their public appearances at high-profile events such as parties and galas, where they were often
only for defense capabilities and will only be used in that manner. It is part of the defense modernization efforts, which the PRC
and
is
photographed
also
together,
doing.
but without any evidence of an actual affair. Despite being two high-profile figures in their own right, Obama as the first black president of the United States, and Aniston as one of the most beloved actresses in Hollywood, no legitimate sources or facts substantiated the affair claims. As with many celebrity rumors, the media played a significant role in spreading the story. Tabloid magazines and gossip websites, which often thrive on salacious and scandalous content, were quick to latch on to the idea of an Obama-Aniston affair. Articles were filled with claims about their supposed secret meetings and stolen moments, but much of the reporting was based on speculation rather than verified facts. In particular, tabloid outlets suggested that Obama and Aniston had been seen together at several social gatherings and had shared close, intimate moments during these events. The headlines read, "Barack Obama's secret love affair with Jennifer Aniston," or "Michelle Obama's marriage on the brink, Jennifer Aniston romance exposed." The constant barrage of these headlines, fueled by rumors and unverified reports, made it difficult for the public to separate fact from fiction. However, despite the attention these rumors garnered, neither Obama nor Aniston ever provided any substance to these claims.
Typhoon missile systems. What the Philippines did and said
Okay,
to President Bongbong Marcos
nag-break,
is
no?
that if
Ituloy lang natin.
the People's
Obama,
Republic of
known for
China
his focus
will
on
stop
policy
its
and
illegal,
leadership rather than
coercive,
personal
aggressive, and
drama,
deceptive
continued
actions
his
in
presidency with
West
Michelle by his
Philippine
side,
Sea, then
and the two
offered
presented a
mercy
united
appeal
front.
that
Aniston,
the
equally
president
keen
will
on
then
maintaining her
remove the typhoon
privacy,
missile systems
declined to
illegally
engage
from
with the
Philippine
rumors,
soil.
opting instead to
when
focus on her work and personal
People's
life.
Republic of China
In
was
interviews
asked
following
about
the
this, there
rumors,
was no
Jennifer
virtually no
Aniston
response.
dismissed the
You can
affair
look at the
rumors with a sense of
transcripts
humor
coming
and
from the press
frustration.
conferences
She
in
expressed
Beijing.
her disbelief that
This
such
question was
unfounded
asked
claims were
point
being
blank,
taken seriously,
and the reply
pointing out the
was not
absurdity of the
responsive.
idea that
So
she
we
would
had
be involved in an affair with Barack
response
Obama,
whatsoever.
who was the sitting president at the time.
Then we
Aniston,
move on
who had previously
to the issue
faced
of,
intense media scrutiny due to her highly publicized marriage to Brad Pitt and their subsequent divorce, was no stranger to the tabloids.
Let me just
However,
state again
this
for the
particular
record,
rumor seemed to hit her harder,
without referring
as
to
it
any
targeted her
individual,
relationship with one of the most
that
powerful men in the
Republic
world.
Act
She addressed the rumors with a
1064
mixture of wit
the
and
Philippine
deflection,
Maritime
telling
Zones
reporters
Act
that her romantic
clearly
life was no one's business, and that her relationship with
West
Obama was
Philippines
strictly professional.
And
In
then
interviews, she emphasized that
the
she and
maritime zones
Obama
of the
were friends and
Philippines
had
on the
no
western
romantic
side of the
involvement,
archipelago,
a statement that
including
Obama
the Luzon
himself
Sea
echoed
and
in public
territorial
comments.
seas of
Nonetheless, the rumors continued
and the
to swirl,
maritime
with
features
some
of the
tabloid
Kalayaan
outlets
Kalayaan
even fabricating
Island
stories of
shall
secret
collectively
encounters
be known
between
as
the
the
two
West
celebrities.
Philippine Sea.
Michelle Obama,
And the
who had already dealt
So
with
if you look
relentless
at the law,
scrutiny throughout her
RD
husband's
1064,
political career, was now
the
forced to
maritime
contend with these rumors about her
seas that are
marriage.
being referred
Despite
to
the
are
public's insatiable
the
thirst for
archipelagic
scandal,
waters
Michelle
of
remained
the Philippines,
composed,
which
brushing
includes-
off the gossip
which
and
is
showing support
the
for her
waters
husband.
inside the
In her
archipelagic
memoir,
baselines.
Becoming, Michelle reflected
Number
on the
two, the
emotional
internal
toll
waters
that
of the
media
Philippines.
speculation took
Number
on
three,
her
the
and
territorial
Barack,
sea
noting that their marriage had to
of the
endure
Philippines.
more than
Number
just
four, the
political
contiguous
hurdles.
zone.
They had to
Number
constantly
five, the
guard their
exclusive
personal
economic
lives
zone.
against
And
public
number six, the
intrusion and
continental
malicious
shelf
rumors,
and the
including
extended
those about
continental shelf
Barack's
of the
supposed
Philippines. They are
infidelities.
all
As the rumors of the affair spread,
the word-
news of a
the
potential
utilization of the
separation
word
between the
West Philippine
Obamas
Sea
began to circulate,
is based
leaving
on
many
law.
shocked. But let's
Because there are
uncover the
still some
truth
bloggers
behind these claims.
and commentators who
Bago
are
natulog
saying
sa gabi,
that
kailangan
the
naman gawin ng
utilization of
isang
the
linggo
word
sa
West
araw. Sa
Philippine
umaga
Sea
pagkagising mo, mawawala
is
na lahat ng
because
iba.
of
Totoo ito.
President
Ngayon,
Tony
ibabahagi ko
Aquino's
sa iyo,
admin order
siguraduhin
29 into 2012. Luma
The
na po
truth
yun. That is
behind
a
the
full
rumors
reference.
of the Obamas'
As everyone
divorce.
knows,
when we utilize
In recent months,
word West
rumors
Philippine
about the
Sea,
Obamas'
it is no
alleged
longer on the
divorce have been
basis of
making
an
waves across the
administrative
media,
order of a
sparking
former
intense
president.
debate and
It is now
speculation.
enshrined
For many,
in
the
our
idea
laws,
of the
in
couple
particular,
parting ways
the
seemed
Philippine
unthinkable.
Maritime
After
Zones
all,
Act.
Barack and Michelle Obama had long been viewed as one of the most
let me now
iconic
go
and
to
stable couples in the
another
public eye.
topic.
Their love story, which had been the subject of countless interviews,
the
speeches,
alleged,
and documentaries, painted a picture of unwavering unity
spies
and
here,
devotion. However,
or
the rumor mill had different
utilization of the
ideas,
spies
and
here,
whispers about their
allegedly the
separation
Philippines is
quickly turned
crafting
into
a
a media
spies
frenzy.
here
Some
as
reports have
part of
attempted
the
to link the rumors of their
anti-China
divorce to
rhetoric.
another story. One about
Again, I'd
Barack
like to
Obama's
clearly
alleged
state
affair with
that
actress
so far as
Jennifer
the Philippine government is
Aniston. These claims,
concerned,
which
there
initially
is no
started as mere gossip,
anti-China
began to
rhetoric
spread like
promoted by the
wildfire after
Philippine
certain
government.
tabloid outlets
The
picked up
Philippines
on the
has a
idea
large,
that their relationship
very
might have
prosperous
caused a rift
and,
between the Obamas. As the rumors circulated, the public response was mixed.
We have
Many
a
fans of the Obamas were in
Filipino-Chinese
shock,
community here
unable to
in the
reconcile
Philippines
the idea of
that
their
is part
marriage
of the
facing such serious
culture of
turmoil.
the country.
Some expressed
And we
disbelief
have
on social media,
relations with
sharing their
China that
support
has
for the
been
couple
spanned
and hoping
so
that these
many
rumors
years.
were simply
So
unfounded.
there is
Others,
no
however,
benefit for the
seemed less
Philippines
convinced.
to
Critics of the
create an
Obamas,
anti-China
particularly
rhetoric.
those from political circles,
I
jumped
am
on the
making this
gossip,
statement because
using the
I
supposed
read
affair
Global
and
Times,
subsequent divorce
and I also
rumors
read
as ammunition to undermine the
third-party
image of the beloved first
groups
family.
here in the
For
Philippines
them, this
who are
scandal was a chance to
saying that
cast doubt on the
we are
integrity of
growing
the
an
Obamas,
anti-China
something that had
rhetoric,
long been an
including
object of
baseless
admiration among millions.
accusations
The media,
Chinese
always
spies,
eager for a juicy
which
story,
allegedly
didn't hesitate
fuels
to fuel the
hostility.
fire. Various outlets published
That is
reports
the
claiming
farthest
to
from
have
the truth.
insider information,
There is no
citing
anti-China
unnamed
rhetoric that
sources
is being
close to the
propagated.
Napakalakas
Obamas,
itong ano
and
ito, no?
offering
We just
sensational
happen to have
details about their
evidence
supposed
found
impending
several
divorce.
Chinese
Many
nationals
outlets reported
who
that the
have
couple
been
had been
arrested
living
by
separately for
Filipino
months,
enforcement
with some
authorities
even
in
going
the act
so
of
far as to
espionage.
claim that Michelle Obama
Cases have been
was
filed in
preparing
court.
to file for divorce.
These are
However,
legitimate
despite the constant barrage
counterintelligence
of rumors,
operations.
the Obamas themselves
Accused
remained silent.
individuals
But
of
here's the truth.
espionage
The rumors about their
were
divorce,
caught in
just
the
like
act.
the
They
affair
were caught
rumors,
red-handed.
were completely unfounded.
Espionage
The
equipment
Obamas
were
have consistently shown
confiscated
resilience in
by
the
law
face of
enforcement
personal and public
authorities.
challenges.
The
While their
NBI
marriage, like
has
any
secured
long-term
the necessary
relationship, has
warrants to
faced
conduct
struggles,
forensic
there has been no
investigation,
truth to
and
the
we
claims
already
of
have a
separation or
wealth
infidelity.
of
Michelle
evidence
Obama, in
to pin
particular,
them
has
down.
been vocal about the pressures of being in the
And
public eye and
as
how
per
rumors
request
like
of the
these
Chinese
can take
embassy,
an emotional
we have
toll.
allowed
In her
consular
memoir,
visits to
Becoming,
these
she addressed the
individuals,
scrutiny
because
and
there were
challenges they
allegations that
faced,
we are
making
not
it clear
allowing
that while
consular
their
visits.
marriage has been
Once the
tested
Chinese
by
embassy
external
sent a formal
forces,
request
their commitment to
for
each other has
consular
always
visits,
remained strong.
they were
Both
granted
Barack
in
and
accordance
Michelle
with
have
the
continued to speak highly of one
consular
another,
practice
and there has been no official
that the
confirmation of
Philippines
any
have with
separation.
China with
In
regards
fact,
to
they
consular
have been
visits
spotted together at numerous
of,
public
the
events,
Chinese embassy
showing the same
to
affection and partnership that has
nationals
defined
that
their
are
relationship from the
engaged in
start.
criminal
The
acts and
rumors
have
of a
been
divorce
arrested
and
by
the
the
affair with
Philippine
Jennifer Aniston are nothing more
So
than
those
baseless
are
speculation,
our rejoinder
perpetuated by a
to
media
several
landscape
issues
eager to
that
stir
we
up
feel that
drama
the
at any
National Task
cost.
Force West
Their
Philippines
bond,
should
forged over
address.
years
May
of
now,
shared experiences,
turn
remains
over to
unshaken by
Madam
the fleeting gossip and media hysteria. With all the rumors and conspiracy
just an
theories,
update on
what do you think about the Obamas? Are they just
For this year,
victims of
we have
media
had
hype, or is
already
there more to the story? Share your
maritime
thoughts in the
operating
comments.
activities, one bilateral and two multilateral. The first one
Okay,
was
para
last
sa akin,
month.
sinisira lang mga
This
suki,
month
no?
we have had two.
Okay, mga ano ito, mga rumors ito,
Canada.
sinisira lang ang
I'll be able to
imahe
respond
po
more
ng
or
dalawa po
into
mga
other
suki,
matters
no?
for the West
Ang magandang
Philippines Sea
imahe
during the
ng
question and answer.
dalawa ito. Kasi magaling sila sa
Next will be,
okay,
let's have Philippine
sa
Coast Guard
politika, mga
spokesperson
suki,
on
no?
West Philippine Sea, Commodore J.
Organization.
Tariela. Sir?
So, para bawas ng problema po,
which is also the press
ng kasalukuyan ng kumbent, no?
that,
Para hindi
I
na
posted,
problema sila.
last
Ang
night,
gagawin,
wherein I highlighted
sirain
that Philippine
talaga
Coast
ng
Guard
sirain
BRP
mga
Cabra
suki.
was successful to
Ngayon man
drive away the China Coast Guard
Sa US.
3103.
Pag
And right now,
mga may
BRP
masilip
Tacloban
na
remains
puwang,
to shadow China Coast
tirahin
Guard
ka ng tirahin po
3103
ng
at a distance of
hanggat
98
tuluyang
nautical
ka
miles
madurog.
off the coast of Palawing,
Ayan,
Zambales. With
kung
regard to the vessels that we are
hinang-hinang
monitoring in Bajo de Masinloc,
utak mo, hinahinang
there remains to be 4 China Coast Guard vessels.
apok mo,
Of course,
wala pa, sira ka
5901 or the
talaga.
Coast Guard Monster Ship. It now has a distance
Okay,
of
sige po.
164 nautical miles.
Off
Okay,
members.
kaya nga sa public life, no?
Sir?
Kung wala kang
Now,
defender, pag
each meeting
sisiraan ka,
will
wala
be
kang
given
defender,
one
no?
question and
Yung
one
mga
follow-up.
public figure
Kindly
ka,
raise your
public
hands now. Yes.
mga negosyante ka na malaking mga businesses, malaking negosyo.
Sa typhoon missile lang ulit.
Okay, kailangan may
Without this na,
taga-depensa ka
we can
mga
use it
suki,
for
no?
our
Kaya yung mga mayayaman na
isa yun sa mga planong kagamitan
dito sa atin,
Nabiling po ng
dito sa
AFP.
Pilipinas,
Ano ba yun, sa atin naman
okay,
siya, or
puro may
nandito lang siya for training kasi
mga
ang
outfit
sabi
to
na dati,
media, mga suki,
so,
no? Mga
kunwari,
dambuhalang media
yung worst
outfit.
case scenario, can we
Kaya,
utilize yung
kasi pag depensa po, kung meron mga mag-happen ganito,
medium
okay,
range
may
capability
taga-depensa
mission
mga
system
suki, no?
is in
Yung mga
country
malaking
for
tao dito
training
sa
and
Pilipinas,
exercise purposes.
meron talaga
It arrived
yung
here last year.
pag-ari
The
po
Philippine
ng
Army has been
media
making
outfit,
good
no?
use of its presence here, familiarization with modern
Beta
weaponry.
na nag-invest sila.
There are
Okay, ang
different
balita
activities,
rito, ang
different exercises that involves
Bangko Sentral
modern
ng
weaponry,
Pilipinas
missile systems, and kasama ito sa pinag-aaralan ng
rates
Philippine
steady.
Army.
Pakinggan natin kahit kalahati lang, no?
can we utilize it
Okay.
sakaling may mangyari.
So, hindi ata magtaas ng
We
rates.
can use it for our own defense.
The purpose for its presence in country is for training and
padalas na.
exercises. It would take more than just
Skip
the
na lang
presence
natin.
here before it gets to the point of being operational. There will have to be guidance from national command authorities, which is actually beyond the current reason why the MRC or the Typhoon is here.
Siguro just to add to that, the missile system that is here is primarily here for readiness, number one, and number two is interoperability.
Eli
Because we have
Remolina
a mutual
Jr.
defense treaty with the United States, and we are a defense treaty ally of the Philippines. Philippine troops have to be familiar with the weapon systems of our partners and allies. Again, for readiness, no? And interoperability. So that has been the current decision right now, no? And as I said, if the presence of the Typhoon missile system is such a bother, no? The President has already made a formal offer, no? A very clear offer through media, which unfortunately we have not received a proper response as of now.
Magtaas ba o hindi? Magtaas ba ng rates o hindi?
We keep saying that the Typhoon system in Ilocos Norte right now is for defensive purposes. What is the range of the missiles? Are they within reach of the Chinese mainland? Russia?
Without going into the specifics of it, it would depend on the ammunition loaded into the launcher. Depending on the type of missile na nakakarga sa launcher. This will go, if I'm not mistaken, from 200 to 350 nautical miles, approximately.
Do we have longer range versions?
Yes,
That are stored?
it depends on what type of depends on what type of missile is loaded into the launcher. Kung pwedeng iba't ibang klaseng missile na nakaload doon. So yung range niya depende sa kanyang nakaload na missile.
So we have those options to load longer range missiles.
It's part of the familiarization. Kung anong klase ang mailoload doon.
Mahinang
Baka ito
sound
ay
nila.
baril, depende kung anong mailoload na bala. Yung bala iba't ibang ang kanyang range.
Any question?
Recently, aircraft carriers from France, US, and Japan conducted joint exercise in the east of Philippines. Were you informed about the exercise? And my question also, are you willing to participate, join to such exercise in the future with these aircraft carriers?
Are you referring to the US, France, Canada, Philippines exercise?
No, aircraft carrier exercise in the east of Philippines by US and France and Japan.
There are lots of activities ongoing not only in the West Philippine Sea, but even in the eastern seaboard of the country that involves other like-minded countries. When we are not a participant to the multilateral cooperative activity or maritime cooperative activity, we are not informed. So other countries are also conducting their own activities, either the West Philippine Sea or the eastern seaboard of the country.
I think our understanding of that exercise is that it's an exercise of aircraft carriers from those nations. And since the Philippines has no aircraft carrier, we were not invited to those exercises. Maybe we will consider joining those exercises when we have an
Monetary
aircraft
policy
carrier
ba?
already. But there are very limited number of countries that have aircraft carriers.
Sir, ano po ang position niyo doon sa ipinapanukalang magbuo ng isang West Philippine Sea Command?
Takes account of the more basic moving parts.
That statement or that proposal is well taken. It is being considered right now how that will fit
Sige,
in with
okay,
the
maalis
AFP.
na mo, then
As we
mag-close
see it
tayo.
right now, the armed forces has different unified commands which address not only internal but also external defense operations. But however, that the recommendation will be duly noted and we will be studying them.
Kind of engineering.
Any questions po, ma'am, sir?
Hi, sir. Kay Admiral Trinidad. Sir, you promised dati, a few weeks ago na ready na kayo i-reveal kung sino yung may-ari ng the drone, the first one. Pwede na
As to the owner or who launched the drone, it would take beyond forensics to be able to know for sure who launched the drone, from where this came from. What we know for now is the data that has been collecting, and while we have already finished and completed the forensics of one of the first drone, we're awaiting the results of the others to be able to get a complete picture. And the moment we get that, the appropriate public statement of press release will be given out.
Okay. Follow up na lang, sir. To ADG Malaya. Sir, the promise that China is, I think, referring to seems to be, to my mind, it seems to be the statement coming from the Philippine Army that, since they were the ones training with the MRC, that eventually it will be parang brought out of the country after the exercises have finished. So, to qualify that, that's not a policy, that's just a description, or that's not government, that's not government stand, correct?
That's correct. Because if you look at the statements coming from Beijing, repeatedly they have mentioned that we have reached such commitments. The word kasi commitment eh. So it was made to appear that the Philippine government made a commitment to them. No? Siguro, as you mentioned, they may be referring to this statement from the Philippine Army, but that is just that is not guidance coming from higher authorities. That is simply an opinion coming from some officials of the Philippine Army that do not speak for the policies of the Philippine government. So it would be improper, for Beijing to make a statement that there was a clear commitment, kasi ang word is pledged. We have pledged, we have made a commitment. So it is made to appear that the Secretary of Foreign Affairs or the Secretary of National Defense or even the National Security Advisor made that promise to withdraw. So we wanted just to make clear that we never made any commitments to the People's Republic of China.
Do you find parallelisms with that mindset and the way they perceive statements coming from our officials to the previous misunderstanding about our promise to take out BRP Sierra Madre? You see something like parang ganon na similarities about how China perceives statements coming from our officials? Would that be accurate?
Kasi iba rin kasi yung sitwasyon noon eh. Well, allegedly, previous administrations daw made those commitments, and we do not exactly know who those previous administrations are. Now, this is a current administration. They're referring to the current administration. And wala namang kaming sinasabing ganun, no? Whether in private or in public. So,
okay, tama na po kasi wala na kong oras. Time naman pagpaalam.
Coming from the
Okay, plugging muna sa Basilan, ipa-plugging po natin ang mga kandidato natin. Huwag natin lubayan, huwag natin tigilan.
There are statements coming from AFP
at least makakontribute tayo
talk
sa
about acquiring
politika sa
more
Basilan.
missile. Wala naman tayo except for the
Okay,
Browns.
kahit pa paano, bayan natin yan.
Yes, first and foremost,
Okay,
I would like
ang
to say that
sa
Green
District
Horizon
2,
3 is
okay,
currently
itong
at
si
the Department of National
Ronnie
Defense. It
Bugin
covers broad
Hantian.
capabilities,
Okay,
cyber,
hindi po pwede
air,
kaligtaan, no? O
surface,
hindi
and
pwede
subsurface
kalimutan.
warfare capabilities.
Okay,
This
pagdating
will
ng
include not
Mayo,
only platforms but also
okay,
weapon systems and missile systems. Right now, without going into further details, I would
kasabay
like to say
pag-aaralan,
that
no?
these are
Wag
part of
wag muna natin
acquisition
sabihin mo
programs
ba?
or plans at the
Sabihin
Department
mo
of
to,
National Defense.
pag-alala lang. Pagdating sa Mayo, maalala siya.
Sir Jay,
Okay, na bilang
Sir, update lang po sa presence
kandidato
ng
o
Chinese
pagka
vessels.
board
So,
member
yung
ng
research
District 2.
vessel, wala na siya
Okay,
sa
itong si
East
Moving
natin.
Ronnie
And
Hantian.
then yung
Ang coverage
sabi
niya,
yung
Buwan
last
Lasa,
briefing nyo, yung isang
okay,
vessel
at
na
saka
dumat
itong,
na mastership, ganun ba yung nangyari, sir? Around,
mainland sumisip. Okay, pati na rin ng yung tipo-tipo, Arbarca, okay, ang Kayapukan, at saka Central, no?
Sabi ko 2 days ago,
Central
it already went up.
munisipyo
So
po
we
ng
already provided an
tipo-tipo.
update to that.
Okay.
Regarding naman sa China Coast Guard,
And then, papunta tayo sa Lamitan City.
what we are monitoring
Okay,
is
diyan din kukuha ng
991
boto
is
yung
moving
tao na
south.
yan, no?
So, there's a
Ito si
possibility na
Moving Ronnie
pupunta
Hantian,
ito in other
then
exclusive
papunta
events.
yan sa Tuburan,
So, it's because
okay,
this is our first time to
proper,
see China Coast Guard monstership,
Ajul,
not just
and
loitering
then
within
Akbar
Bacolod
Municipality,
City.
no?
And,
Maladyo.
all of a sudden, it's
Ayan,
moving.
yan po ang
Kaya ang distance
maaari ay
is
makakuha silang boto
164
dyan sa area na
miles
yan,
off
no?
the coast of Calma
Okay,
Island.
tandaan lang. Okay,
For your question
Moving Ronnie
as to
Hantian, no? Pagka
the vessel that is
board member,
illegally
ayan,
patrolling
ng District 2.
Sambales area. Ito yung China Coast Guard.
Sino pang puntahan natin dito naman sa District 1. Okay, ganun din. Tuloy-tuloy lang pag-alala sa kanya. Okay, si Ahmad Alat Ismail.
Ang nasa paligid ng
Okay,
Baho de
ng
Masinloc
District
ngayon
1.
ay dalawa.
Okay, ang mayamang boto ng Isabela City, mayamang boto ng Lantawan, at saka Island po masuki, no?
And then yung isang
Okay.
off the coast of
Sige
Sambales
po.
na sinusundan ni Cabo
Dapat po ay
is 3103.
tandaan natin, no? Ay ang mga kandidato dyan.
Any questions?
Okay, may isang babae.
Sir, good morning.
Kasamang Maluso, no? May isang babae, si Marisa
may nabasa
Akbar.
na akong certain
Ganun
articles,
din.
foreign articles, na
Ayan
sinasabi
po.
na for the past few months,
Bigyan natin
ang
pagkakataon
campaign
po
daw
ay
ito, campaign of attrition,
maging leader,
matatagan pa rin.
okay, maging
Since mas marami silang
sambulan
bangkong,
pang
mas malalaki pa.
bayan po.
Meron po
Yan
bang
po
mas
sa
seryosong
mainland
effort ng
Lantawan
gobyerno?
Municipality, no?
Isama na po ang
Okay,
Congress
dalawa
to amend
rin.
certain laws.
Sa sumisip, dalawa rin.
Tayo,
Okay,
kahit
wag
mga
natin
second hand
kalimutan
old
po ang
vessels, kasi isa raw po sa naging
isang
problema.
guro, isang ustads.
Kailangan puro bago raw po yung
Okay,
bibili
si
natin, hindi po
ustads
pwedeng second hand.
no?
Para magamit
Okay.
ng Philippine Coast Guard to
Palagay ko
strengthen
kung
yung capability in patrolling.
ay
Ganun
hindi
nangyari po
maalala
with
si
PRP
Ustad
Cabra.
Gamuat Samlul
It's facing multiple vessels from China na
sa halalan.
magiging strenuous
Okay, hindi
sa ating buong
hindi
group
ako maniwala
and
kung
in
hindi
the vessel
maalala, no?
itself.
Okay.
At update lang po sa mga
Okay,
plano ng
kailangan
Coast Guard
po
at ng gobyerno to
ay
procure
manalo ang tao
additional
ito, no?
assets. Thank you po.
Okay, magsumamo tayo,
Yes,
mamili
isa talaga
tayo
yan
ng
sa mga
tulong.
priorities natin, no?
Okay,
Modernization
yan po
of
sa
both the
sumunod,
armed forces of the
Okay,
Philippines and the Philippine
natulungan
Coast
itong
Guard. As mentioned by
Ustad mo,
Admiral
Samlul,
Trinidad, really the effort
And then
is
ipa-partner natin, okay,
Big
si
Horizon.
Omar Hataman, ganun
Nagbago
din.
kasi yung mga ano natin,
Kailangan
mga
makakuha pa ng
natin,
maraming boto, no?
moving forward, given
Okay,
the
para makapasok po isang
need to implement the
ng isang,
comprehensive archipelagic
concept.
defense concept. So,
Omar
meron ng
Hataman
effort doon,
at saka
and there will
Muan
be
Samlul.
procurements moving forward. The Coast Guard is
Okay,
also
tapos
a
na po
major
ang
priority,
balita
as you
natin
all
sa
know.
gabi
And
ito.
si,
And
Commodore
then time naman pagpaalam.
Jay will
natin,
share to
no?
us the plans of the Philippine government. But in terms of amendments to the laws, Additional Appropriations Act, fully supported naman ng Philippine Coast Guard. And then we also passed the Self-Reliant Defense Posture Act. May I give the floor to Commodore Jay.
First of all, let me first
Okay, magsaya tayo kahit mahirap ang buhay, no?
kung yung tanong na may seryosong effort ba ang national government for us to address our capability gaps. No? Of course, the national government is very serious in addressing this concern. As a matter of fact, for the Philippine Coast Guard,
Female voice,
as I
male
said last
voice,
year, no?
volley voice,
President Bongbong Marcos has
monster
already
voice.
approved the
Talk to
acquisition
a
of 5
meter.
more 97-meter
A meter.
vessels for the Philippine
She
Coast Guard
choose a
from
meter.
the Japanese from Japan, no?
The
And then of
meter.
course the 40
She choose a
vessels
meter.
that will be coming from
The
France.
meter.
20 of those will be built
Okay.
in France and 20 of those
Ayan po,
will be
you lucky
built
enough,
here in the
no?
Philippines.
Former President
At the
Barack
same
Obama,
time, as we
I have the
design the
microphone.
acquisition of vessels,
you lucky
we're also
enough.
considering how we can be able to transfer technology.
Wala na,
Ito yung
durog-durog na
huling,
siya.
agreement natin with the
Okay,
French
sira-sira na mga
That's why
suki, no?
out of those 40,
Ang
20
former
ang
President
dadalhin
Barack
dito
Obama.
gagawin din sa Pilipinas.
Sinisira
to make sure
talaga ng
that
kapwa
there will
niya.
be a transfer of technology and we can also support the local
Sila
shipbuilding
rin ang
for them
sumira,
to
mga suki, no?
at least know the
Ayun
technical
ka.
know-how in building Coast Guard vessels.
Okay,
The
kapwa
Australian
mga-
government is also supporting the
mga-
acquisition of Coast Guard vessels.
Sa US
So
mga suki, no?
we can
Kung
see how
kamali ka
serious the
lang, wala
government
na.
is. Through the leadership of
Okay.
President Bongbong Marcos,
Sabi ng
the
yatang
Senate
parang
and the
magsibuhi.
Congress, they're also supporting the modernization.
Grabe
of
po
Coast
ang
Guard. Last year, there was an
hit.
attempt to
Okay,
pass
ng,
the Coast
issue
Guard
ito, mga
modernization
suki, no?
bill. However,
Okay.
the 19th Congress was not able to deliver the enactment of that
Pinagsibuhian.
law. But we are hoping and praying that for this coming
Okay, para kay
Congress,
ko hanggang
they're
dito na
also
po
going
ang
to
programa
prioritize
natin.
the
Magpaalam
Coast
na
Guard
tayo mga
modernization
suki.
Thank you.
Okay, sandali lang, no?
Yan. Sir, good morning. Follow-up parts ng West Philippine Sea. Sir, ano po nakikita natin dahilan, sir, ba't biglang umalis po siya?
That's a very tough question. I cannot really understand why it departed, whether it will go to the exclusive economic zone of Malaysia, Indonesia, or go around Vietnam. So we still don't know. But we can also suspect that China Coast Guard 5901, based on the past voyage tracks.
Ganoon kasi, may magsulsul ba?
Ang ginagawa
Yung
niya, the
sulsul,
moment na
yung
mag-stay
pitna.
siya, for example, just
Okay,
like what
yan
they
pa
did last
pinaka-problema
year,
sa
it stayed in
society,
Laguna
mga
Shoal
suki. Yung
for
pitna na yan. Sige, ganun.
almost 10 to
Chair,
15
sige,
days, and then
sige.
eventually it went around.
Okay.
It went down to Natuna, and
Ganun
then
ang
went
gawin
back
mo,
to
ganun ang
Marcel,
gawin mo.
and then went back to
Yung mga
China.
third party.
So there's a possibility that after staying for long in Bajo de
Mga
Masinloc
third party
area
ba?
off the coast of Zambales, it will just
Sulsul.
do the usual
O,
rotation.
sirain mo
Passing
yan.
through the exclusive economic zone of Malaysia, Indonesia, and then go up to Vietnam, and then eventually went back
So,
to the
marami,
Chinese,
marami dito sa atin, no?
let
Para
me
bang
also
yung
give an
langgam
update
tumatakbo
dun sa tanong
sa
kanina as to the
tumatakbo
distance
sa
of the
bato, hindi mo
fishery
makita.
research vessel. Right
Yan
now,
po ang
the
style ng
Chinese
pit ng
fishery
mga
research
suki, no?
vessel Langhai
Maitim ang bato, and then
101
langgam
at 10:00
maitim
this
din.
morning.
Paano makikita
And
yan?
we have monitored
Yun
it
po
using the
magdala
dark
ng
vessel
pit
detection
na
at a
kung saan-saan
distance of
mga suki, no?
32.5
Kaya,
nautical
kahit
miles
gaano kabait
from
mo, kaya
Gongbiang District.
kagaling mo,
So it's
kasi nung
already
tao,
in Taiwan.
kung yan ang
Part-time.
paparating sa iyo mga pitna na yan, okay, damage ka talaga. Damage ka.
Can you update us on how many
Okay,
Chinese
so
spies are
palagay ko
on
tama na.
what are the
Okay,
charges?
paalam ako ito sa programa.
What were
Okay,
they
sa gabing ito, gabi ng Monday.
Conducted a press
Ayan.
conference together with the
Sa
DOJ.
programa pa rin ng Consolidated News.
The evidences were
Okay,
presented.
taga-depensa
suspects
ng
were presented.
naapi.
But to recall,
Ayan po mga
6
suki, no?
individuals
Okay, sa
that were
kanyang
arrested
sariling
by the Philippine
tahanan.
government in different
Okay.
places in the country.
ADLSN TV
Some were
News
arrested
Online.
in Metro Manila.
Okay, sa
Some
kanyang
arrests
banner
made in
program,
Dumaguete, no?
Halo-halo special
And
yung balita
as to the
iba pa.
cases that were filed against
Okay,
them,
sa maraming
violation of the espionage
nakaling,
law and
okay, kung saan-saan,
cybercrime law.
pati sa ibang
I don't have the
daigdig
materials right now as to the
problema ay
other
pumapasok dito sa
cases that
atin.
were filed against them.
Ayan.
So
hanggang dito
the
na
Department of Justice is
ang
very
programa
confident
natin
about
sa
the
gabi nito.
evidences that we have
Okay,
collected,
matulog tayo
and as
ng
I said
programa
before,
bukas naman,
they will
no?
have their day in court.
Ayan. So, paano? Ayan po mga suki, mga tagapakinig.
Oh, obviously, this is a very, very
gabi
clear
nito,
threat to national security, espionage.
so there you
We're
are.
very well
Wala
know.
tayong masamang tinapay.
Seeks to undermine
100%
seeks to
walang-
undermine
Wala
the
talaga yung
government's
masamang tinapay, no? Patas lang tayo
internal
ay
operations, right? Because it provides
magdiskurso,
information
okay,
about
para sa kapakanan
secrets,
ng lahat. No?
about confidential and
Ayan.
secret matters
So, babay na.
relating to the
Okay, this has been
operations of the
Abs
Philippine
naman
government.
lamang po. Babay.
With, for example, those who were arrested in Palawan, no, they were monitoring the movement of Philippine maritime assets, Navy vessels and Coast Guard vessels going in and out of Oyster Bay. No, but let me just state again for the record, without referring to any individual, that Republic Act 12064.
Kaya nga, kung hindi ka masira sa politika, masira ka sa kwarta, masira sa babae. No?
West Philippine Sea is.
Ganun po.
And let me quote, the maritime
So, masira ka sa
zone of the Philippines
business.
on the western side of the archipelago, including the Luzon Sea and the littoral seas of Bao de Masinloc, and the maritime features of the Kalayaan Island Group shall collectively be known as the West Philippine Sea. End of quote. So if you will look at the law, RA 12064, the maritime